Okay, we are live. I hope everyone's had a good week. I certainly have. Let me get my hydration. And you know what we need? We need the music. Hi, Pleasant. Good to see you. Good to see you. Whew, it's been I don't know. It's been a weird week. I, uh, I just feel good. I feel good. I'm gonna meet up with an old friend on Friday when I haven't seen in about 2 years, uh, and have a delivery. Let's see what happened. I got a delivery this week. I'm about to get one today. I have a new mini PC. I'm going to talk a little bit about mini PCs in this stream, and we are going to talk about 22-inch pen displays, and we're going to talk about pressure curves. And I want to put out a video this week. Actually, I want to use this as a sort of dry run for the 22-inch pen display topic. I'm getting a lot of questions I see on Reddit about 22-inch pen displays. This is a topic I have addressed before, but the situation has changed a little bit, and I just want to refresh our understanding of things. It hasn't changed too much, but there have been, a new model was introduced, and I think I need to set, how can I say this? I need to frame the options you have and why you might want to go this direction or this direction. I think 22-inch pen displays are a great balance, and we'll talk more about that later. So we'll look through some content, maybe we'll revise it. As for the pressure curves, so here's the topic I want to explore. I actually want to do a little bit of vibe coding live. So I'll summarize it like this. I have to talk about a topic which is drawing at low pressure. I might get into that in the stream. And in order to do low pressure and understand how to tweak it, you need to understand how pressure curves work. Of course, that's an important tool. And one of the topics I have mentioned many times but have never clearly defined is there are actually multiple pressure curves and how they all work together. Because it's not something that you would be accustomed to. You probably don't know many of you don't actually know it's true. There isn't one pressure curve in the system. There are up to, depending on how you count, there are up to 3 or 4. There can be just 2. There can be just 1, depending on which application you're using. In some cases, there might be 0 in a certain sense. So, what do you do in these cases? And if there are 4 pressure curves, why would you pick one over the other? And what happens if you set multiple? And what happens if you don't have the one available that you want to use? These are interesting kind of topics. Oh, let me tell the Discord crew I'm online. Let's see. Let's get to my YouTube channel and get the link. So we'll explore fun stuff today, and we'll chat about things. Let's see. Get shareable link, and let me paste that. Live and on camera now. There we go. We are there. I'm drawing a new thumbnail, by the way. I actually want a series of different thumbnails for the stream. We'll see how that works. What does the current one look like? I think the current one is, you can see it right there, tablets and shell. And let's get back here. Yeah. So that's my plan. We'll go over 22-inch pen displays. And again, this is sort of prep for a video I want to create where we're going to talk, I will get on camera and I will say, here's your options. So, and there's news, I think, maybe. If there is any news, we'll cover it. Again, it's been pretty quiet in the drawing table world. The only thing we've had happen last week, or maybe the week before, we saw the announcement of the XP Pen Artist Ultra 14, which looks like a pretty good tablet. I will say, actually, now that we're on that topic, I want to bring up a thought about that tablet. So, traditionally, what we see in devices like an iPad or Samsung Galaxy Tab S is that, which are, they're mobile devices. The glass is to create clarity and vibrance, it's typically very smooth. It's really smooth in the case of the iPad. And then they introduce, the iPad introduced nano texture. But that world of mobile devices generally has just very smooth glass. It just really lets the colors come through, the pixels are sharper. Drawing tablets need to have an etched glass surface because they need to, or maybe a film on top of it. But these days everyone's going to etched glass, which has pros and cons, by the way. The etched glass provides texture, but it also creates some of the anti-reflective properties. Okay, Nakti has a comment. I wonder if you can try perceptual pressure calibration across multiple tablets with significantly different pens. Just see if you can make all the pens. Yeah, I think I could try that. Yeah, I can try that. Sorry, he's got an online tool, which I meant to try. Maybe I'll try it during the stream. I'm just replying to him now. Okay. So the XP Pen Artist 14 Ultra is the first pen display I've seen, which is a modern pen display where they have toned down some of the anti-reflective or anti-glare part of it. In other words, you can see a little bit more reflection in it than you can any other pen display I know of. And I find that intriguing because maybe it is the right trade-off to make. I have started to feel for a while now that maybe pen displays are a little too anti-glare. And the results of too anti-glare are, it doesn't look as vibrant. And many, you're used to so many other displays which don't have that effect, so they're more vibrant. The second thing is, and this depends on the specific treatment involved. Some tablets, you might get more anti-glare sparkle. So I am intrigued by the idea of a tablet that tones down the etched glass a bit. So you're going to see a little bit more reflection. Not too much, but you will see it, but not as much as an iPad. So I haven't decided yet whether I'm getting the Artist Ultra 14. I'm thinking about it. Honestly, if I was going to get something, I'd want to get at least a 16-inch model. So in my mind, I'm kind of waiting for, or maybe a 19-inch model. So I'm kind of waiting for that. So we'll see. Okay, let's talk about 22-inch pen displays. Let me see if I can get some content up here. Give me a minute. Hi, For Real. Good to see you. Thanks for joining the stream. Appreciate it. Okay, where is my content? Give me a second. We had Mad Max. Hello, all the friends, he says. Oh, gosh. What am I looking for? I have to get used to it. I'm not a Mac OS expert, I gotta tell you. So it still takes me a while to figure out how to use this thing. Okay, while I'm looking for this file, I got a new mini PC. Well, sorry, I ordered one. It's coming. If it arrives during the stream, we'll do a little bit of unboxing and try it out. What's funny is I already have the mini PC. Like I already have the same exact model on my other desk. But I have set up an alternate desk for doing whatever. And I want that same mini PC because it's relatively quiet. Not super crazy quiet like an Mac Mini, which is just basically silent 99% of the time. But it's it's quiet enough that compared to the PC I have installed, where you can hear the fans spinning all the time, I'm so irritated by noise. So that's going to arrive today, and I trust it because I already have it. and I've used it for, I think, the last year or so. It's a Minis Forum. It's an X1 AI Pro or something. It has the HX370, something like that. I forgot the actual chip. It's not the very latest and greatest, but Garcia Arts covered the later model, the newer model, on his channel. I don't think I need the newer model because it doesn't really offer much. It's like 6% faster. I'm like, okay, it doesn't really matter for me. You know, I'm gaming on the old one. And it's got 96 gigabytes of RAM. Was it expensive? Yeah. I mean, it costs now $2,000, but I thought really honestly for 96 gigabytes of RAM, that's a pretty good deal. And it's unified memory, so yeah, that's gonna be my plan to use that for my, as you guys all know, I have multiple desks. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 desks. Each of them have a setup. And that is my, I don't know, it's like my alternate, it's my just alternate workspace. Sometimes I just prefer to be there and be separated from my environment. So we'll see how that arrives. Okay, I am looking for some content. Let's see if I can find it. Is it on my NAS? It should be. Should be under. This is some background material. I think I did it in 2024. Let's see. Hang on. It might have been 2025. I'll have to double check. Let us see. I do not like macOS Finder, by the way. I just want to make sure everyone knows that. Don't get me wrong, I love my Mac in many ways, but Finder is not one of those ways. I will show my bias here. You know, I looked at my... Hi, Albert. Good to see you. I appreciate you joining our stream. I really do. It's always fun to me to have my... well, I shouldn't say my... our sort of regulars show up. It makes me happy that people... You know, I see the same names over and over. Sorry, I'm still looking for this darn thing. Artist Pro 16, 22-inch pen displays. Yeah. Okay. So I found a PowerPoint, and we'll begin with the PowerPoint. Okay. So let me copy this. Yeah. So Finder is just like compared to Windows Explorer, not Internet Explorer, Windows Explorer, the thing that lets you browse the file system, among other things. I just find Finder to be very clumsy. I'm sure there are things it does better, I guess, but I couldn't name them off the top of my head. And it's not just me being like, I haven't used it. I mean, I'm using it right now. I truly believe it is lacking. Pleasing says, I got really overwhelmed with Mac UI. Yeah, it does seem overwhelming sometimes. For me too. I remember I was helping my friend downloading XP pen driver to use my pen tab, but I ended up getting lost with the file. Yeah, I could see that. Though for me, I think most of that has been overcome with, meaning losing where the file is. At least with downloads. There is a downloads folder. Yeah, for real, that affects me a lot too. I don't like that. When macOS programs don't close, when you close all the windows, it's like, in Windows we have you can do that. Discord does that, right? You can close all the windows, and it just it goes away, but it shows up in the taskbar. And I don't know what it is about the Mac, but the fact that the menu is still there is like, what? Why is the menu there when I've shut down all the apps? Again, we have to account for, we have just past experiences with Windows. So it is fair to say that's not the only thing involved, right? That we should be open to the idea that macOS works differently. I'd love to see people who love that experience. I'd like to understand why they think it works better. I can totally believe for some people they love it. 100% I believe they love it. I find that a bit odd. I used to find it much more odd. Now I'm kind of, it doesn't irritate me too much, to be quite honest. Oops, I'm moving my window around accidentally. Let me lock that overlay. Okay. Sorry, I'm just trying to get, this is called, let me just put the date on this file. This is 2026. What is it, August? That's 08/26. Okay, before I show you the 22, I just want to talk about one more topic, okay? Give me a second, I have to go fetch a piece of hardware. Okay, I'm back and I have a special device in front of me. And, sorry, my neck and this thing is not quite arranged. Okay, I made it worse. Okay. I'm always like, the asymmetry of this clothing on my neck is driving me crazy. I don't even know what I'm doing anymore. Okay, let's see. Okay, that's good enough. That's good enough. I'm always interested in different kinds of, auxiliary input devices. That's my official name for these things. TourBox, I love my TourBox, but I want to go further. And I'm always researching, I don't like the little remotes. I do not like them. I love the way TourBox works because I'm not looking at the TourBox. I just keep my hand on it and I look, where I'm drawing, right? And on the Discord, a couple of people, we were just discussing things and people mentioned, I forgot whom, maybe it might have been Hera or somebody talked about. And where is Hera? She hasn't been on my streams in a while. I miss her. Someone brought up, why don't we use this other kind of device? What would it be like? And I want to show you the device, and this is one of several. I'll talk about the other one as well. Here it is. Okay. This is, what do they call these? A flight stick, right? Now I got this. This cost, I think, about let's just say $140. Okay, so it's a relatively advanced, trying to hide my face so it's clear. It's a relatively advanced flight stick. It's kind of like, not the highest end, but like I think a semi-high end, okay? And it's not wireless, I just don't have it plugged in. It's a VKB EVO, something. Anyway, it's really nice. It's got, I'm going to show this to you. Actually, you know what? I have an overhead camera. Why don't I use it? Let's see. Yeah, here we go. Okay. Oops. Hang on. How do we get this stupid thing in focus? OBSBot. I sometimes get driven crazy by this OBSBot camera I have. And it's constant losing of focus. Hera, she's saying, what did he say? I'm working, I can't watch. You're breaking my heart, Hera. Breaking my heart. No, Hera is such a wonderful lady. I absolutely, just like we have people on the stream who are regulars, we have the Discord crew. And there's, we're pretty active. I think we are getting to be what are we up to? Hang on. So we're just rambling. I'm just rambling now. The Discord is up to 1,449 members. Obviously not everyone's active there, but a lot are. We have our regulars. And Hera is one of those regulars, right? And one of the people I love interacting with. And there's many like that. I keep telling Hera didn't. I think she was living in, I believe, Korea, and she and her husband have moved to the United States. So I'm always trying to convince Hera to come and visit Seattle and hang out with me. So hopefully one day she and her husband will take that trip, and we'll meet up. Let's see, Jaffa, I miss you too, man. But good to see you on the stream. No, Hera, you're very cool. Don't even say such a thing like that. Hera has a good way with people. I bet, because she has a teaching background. She just has this way of dealing with people. And she's a good artist. I'd like to show more of her art on stream. Hera, if you ever want me to show your art on stream, I'd be more than happy to. And that goes for any of my regulars. If you have even just a single thing you'd want me to share, you've got, I don't even know. You want me to show something, your portfolio, happy to do it. These streams are for you, not for me. Okay, let's give a little heart reaction to Hera's comment in the Discord. Let's see. Pleasing, you're more on the YouTube side. Yeah, but that's good. Chaffo is working and lurking. Anyway, where's my overhead camera? Let's get back to that. I am just so distracted. That's okay. We have fun on these streams. God, there's so many. Now that I'm on the stream, I have a million topics that I want to rant about. I want to rant about YouTube. Yeah, I'm going to rant about YouTube too. Let's get this camera here though. Where's that darn OBSBot thing? Okay, OBSBot center. Continuous. Maybe this will do it. Yeah, okay, that should. Maybe add a little extra light in here as well. Okay, I just want to show you this complex thing because it'll make more sense why I'm so interested in this. So let's just go over how it works, okay? And then I'll talk about what I'm thinking about. Okay, so obviously it's a joystick, so it goes left, right, down, up. It also it twists, so it has its own barrel rotation. Okay, and of course you can do all of that at the same time. Okay, and it self-centers. Okay, so if I let go, it goes back to center. Okay, it's got a trigger, of course, and then it's got this thing, which is another kind of trigger. Let me maybe move this out of the way. And this trigger is interesting. You can push it down, or you can go like this. So there's already so there's like 3 different trigger states. And then it's got there's a little pinky trigger. Okay, so that's now 4 different triggers. And then it's got this thumb trigger here. Okay, so now we got 5 triggers. And then it's got hats, right? It's got this one, which is, this goes in any direction, okay? Not just north, south, east, west. This one is kind of north, I think this is just a north, south, east, west kind of thing. So 8 directions. And this one's also, I think this is either 4 or 8 directions. So 4 different hat things. Oh, sorry. 3 here and then 1 down here. Okay. So 5 triggers, 4, let's just call these, what do you call these? Hats? I forgot what these are called. But they're directional. Yeah. So 5 triggers, 4 directional things. D-pads. We'll call them D-pads right now. And then we have, this is the 5th one. That's the 4th one. And then we have one that goes up and down like this. And then we have, let me take, you know what? I'm going to improve the exposure here. This is just too dark. Even though I've got light here, it is just really dim. Let's see. There we go, that's better. Okay. So this smoothly goes up. This goes, it does not smoothly go up. It sort of goes up and down and resets to the middle. And then this is a wheel. And then there's 3 buttons here. Okay. So I actually want to use this instead of a toolbox. I mean, I don't want to switch to it, but I want to experiment with a device like this. Okay. Will it work? Probably not. But I love the idea of trying something new, and I can keep my hand on this and not look at the monitor. Now, will it work as well as a toolbox? I doubt it, right? I doubt I could really switch to this. And again, I'm not trying to switch. I just want to see, right, what it would be like to have all these controls. And not all of them will be useful, right? But we'll see. We'll see. Okay. Enough of that. Let's see if I can get that PowerPoint. Bring it up here. Okay. So what we'll do is we'll try to even edit this a little bit. How should I do this? I think the easiest way for me to do this is do it like this. Okay, you can see. So this is the deck from last Christmas. No, sorry, yeah. This is for the 2024 holiday season, as it says, right? So I wouldn't call this well, I'm not sure if I'd call it recommendations, but let's just tell it 2026 updates, right? This is just an update. So this is the landscape and recommendations. That's what we want to talk about today. Okay? Landscape and recommendations. Oh, Mihao is here. Hi, Mihao. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, absolutely, it's a time for an update. Let's see. Jaffa says, oh, you like the background music? Thank you. Let's see. Jaffa says, seems like it would be really handy for navigating 3D environments. I haven't tried any 3D yet. To be honest, I'm surprised anyone's able to. It's so difficult. It is so difficult. Every time I try, I just give up. The rotation handle should be useful, right? Absolutely. Okay, so let's close some of these comments here. Landscape and recommendations. That's what we want to talk about. What's the deal? Okay, and the deal is this. Okay. Actually, let me change this window a little bit. So we have a bunch of pen displays we can talk about. Okay, I'm going to remove the star just for a second because I think it might be a little unfair right now to deal with the star. I'm going to paste the star here. And let's just talk about what we got in the market, okay? So I'm going to duplicate this slide, and then we're going to... How do I duplicate the slide? I guess I can copy and paste. Oh, here we go. Duplicate. Okay. So here's the landscape. Okay. So we won't talk about ranking. We'll just talk about what we have. Okay. And we'll go through what's currently on the list, and then we'll talk about what more is there. Okay. So from XP Pen, we have the XP Pen Artist 22 Plus. Okay. And this price means that this is what I saw it listed for, and then it was discounted, and I found it on discount for the holiday sales at about $440 US. Okay. Then we have the Wacom Cintiq Pro, which was released, I think, in 2023. And then the Wacom Cintiq 22. This is an older model, released in, I forgot when actually, let's just say 2019. $1,300. Huion Canvas 22, GS 22, this is like a 2021 model. And Huion Canvas 22 Plus, which is 2021 model. So since then, we've had new, so this was as of 2024, right? Let's see, For Real says 3D has a bit of a steep learning curve, but once you understand the fundamentals, it's pretty simple. I think my 3D, let's just say my knowledge of 3D math and spatial rotation is decent now, but I just can't believe how complex it is to create objects. I'm just like, it's unbelievable. I see people creating animations. I'm like, first of all, animations I find difficult. 3D animation seems beyond the realm of human comprehension. Okay, so now let's updates since 2024, okay? What do we got? We have quite a few updates. Quite a few. Let's get here. First of all, we have the Huion Canvas 22 22 Gen 3. And I don't have the model number yet. We'll figure that out. We don't have the cost yet, so we'll figure that out. Okay. And we'll revise the costings here. We have the XP Pen Artist Pro 22 Gen 2. And again, I don't have the model number or the cost. We'll get those in a second. Okay. So we have new models. And now we have a pretty big set of tablets that are 22 inches to deal with. Okay. And because we have new models, I think the way I think about the old models has changed. Okay. Let us do a few updates to this slide, and then we will start revising. Just so we get our data first, and then we can talk about, let's see, let me launch Chrome. I'll just settle for this and get my Drawing Tablet Explorer, okay? So what we'll do is we can actually find these tablet models. We want pen displays. We want anything with 22 in the name, and there's a bunch of them, okay? So we're gonna flag them. Actually, let me make sure that let me unflag all these, okay? Yeah, let's get back to 22 in the name. We want pen displays. So Canvas 22, 22 Plus. This is a bit of an old one, so I'm not gonna, this is like 2016, I'm gonna ignore that. Oh, these have 20, okay, yeah. Canvas Pro, I'm gonna ignore that one. RDS 22, okay, I should mention this. It is technically in the list. There. This one. Anything else that's 22? Yeah, we have the Artist 22. 22 Plus. Oh, there's a limit to how many flags I can do. That's fine. That's fine. Yeah. So let's just make sure we have all these listed. Okay. So I've got, let's start with the Huions since they're first in my list. then what was the other one? The Huion Canvas. No, sorry. Huion RDS 2020. Huion RDS. What a strange name, but okay. And this is just called the RDS 2020. So we don't know the cost for that. I think that is it for the Huions that are 22 inches. Yeah. Then let's do the XP pens. And I'll add the dates there. I think it's, you know, it is very important for you to understand the dates. Oops. And the Wacom we got. Okay, let's get the dates in there. This was in 2020. And the pen was, that's actually very useful to know this in this conversation. PW517. So this next one is the Plus. That's also a 2020 and the PW517. The Gen 3 came out in 2025 or 6. 2026, okay. And it has the PW600L. The RDS 2020 came out in, and we can compare the specs. That's what that tool I have does. 2022. But in general, you know, it is very useful for you to know the pens. Many people do not realize you have to buy your tablets, but you're really buying the pen. So you have to treat the pen really importantly. Most people don't pay attention to the pen. They're just like, oh, okay, new tablet must have a good pen. Nope. Sometimes new tablets come with an older pen or just not a great pen. Okay, we got that. Let's take care of the Wacoms next, since they're next in my list. Cintiq Pro came out in 2023, yeah. And then how much, let's see. It's the ACP5, that's a ProPen 3. Cintiq 22, which is older, came out in, actually there's several of these models, so I should talk about this. This is 2019. I'll include another one there in a second. And that's the KP. This is the ProPen 2. Oops. Somehow it made that an exponent. Wacom Cintiq 22 HD, which is the DTK. Yeah, I just want to be complete because 2012. That's old. I don't think I need to. Oh, no, sorry. I thought that was a recent model in 2020 something, so that's actually much older. I don't want to get too old, right? I want to stick to like 2020 and above. And then we have XP Pen, which is the 22 Plus. That came out in 2023. And that was the X3 Pro. The model number was PD21, though no one knows that. And then we have the Pro 22 Gen 2, which is 2024. And that came out with the same pen. There we go. Okay. So we have a big landscape, okay? It's a big landscape. And we're gonna talk about how do you pick these and which one, and it's not always a case of what has the best drawing experience, okay? If it was always the case that I just say, oh, which has the best pen and the best drawing experience, Wacom would always be at the top of that list. It would, it really would. However, there are other factors. So what are some other factors besides pure drawing experience? Well, there's certainly cost. The Wacom is like, 3 times more expensive than anything else. There's fan noise that will show up here. There is pen replacement cost. There is, what's the right word here? Anti-glare sparkle, right? There's connectivity issues. There's power requirement. Like, there's all sorts of things. And if you just say buy the best, you're in for a real wild ride economically. Okay? Wacom. The new price of the DTK 2260 is $1,000. Cost. We got to talk about the cost. Let me write that down. 1,000. Okay, and I'll do the non-discounted prices right now. Right, so let's say, and let me put this as, I'll make this bold, so I know I have the correct cost. Here, I'll show you what I'm seeing here. Thank you for that, Wacom. So let's just get the costs here. But let's just say that some are super expensive, some are not that expensive, and some are really good, like they're good deals. Okay, so give me a second. Let's go take a look at the costs. Okay, so I'm just going to look at Cintiq Pro 22 cost. I'm just going to rely on Google to find the right cost. So it's $3,000. That's still correct. Okay. So already we see there's a 3x price difference from at least. Okay. How about the Artist XP Pen Artist Pro 22 Gen 2? This should say Gen 2 here. It says, I'm just looking at Amazon to get the cost. It is, I'm gonna just say, it says right now, the list price is $700, but again, there's discounted, so I'll go ahead and just give the list price, okay? For now. We'll talk about discounted. Discounted, it's now at $570. Okay? Maybe I should actually put the discounted price because that's kind of crazy difference. Okay, put the discounted price. Because it's useful to know that. What about the Artist 22 Plus? Let's take a look. Oh, resolution, that's another topic we got to talk about. Color gamuts, yeah. Amazon says, yeah, the prices are so different with what they're listed and often discounted for. So this is like $550, discounted now to $430. Or yeah, I'll just leave it at $4. So you're seeing now the price difference are getting crazy, right? And some of the price difference makes sense, sometimes it doesn't. How about the RDS 2020? Huion RDS 2020. Let's take a look. Amazon. I'm just looking at the Amazon price. Okay, it lists at $450. And right now it's on sale for, should you get it? It's $350. Oh, available now that I see the RDS, it's not even available in all regions. Like you can't buy it in the US for some strange reason. Canvas 22 Gen 3. Refresh rate, yeah, some of these are having better refresh rates too. This is $600. And you can get them it's now like $560. And then there's the 22 Plus. Hang on, 2 more costs to get. For real, I will talk about that. That's a great topic. and one I need to write a document and make a video about. So keep that in mind, and just remind me in just a little bit, and I want to talk about it. But let me just get these numbers first. Let me get these numbers, then let's talk about the screen protector. So just remind me in a minute. KMS22 Plus is $440. So the price went down quite a bit, and now it's basically $400 discounted. Prices change all the time, so you know, be aware. And the 22, I'm just looking for the 22. Yeah, okay. This is $350 discounted, and that's $450. Yeah, strangely enough. Okay. So let us deal. I've got the numbers here, and you can see what we're looking at, just an enormous difference. The cheapest one here is basically $450. So let's just round it up to 500 to 3,000. Huge difference. Basically, you know, it's a 6x difference in costs. Should you get the $440 display? I don't know. It depends. We're going to talk about the depends part. Okay. That's what we have to talk about. Okay. So let me remove this slide since we don't need this anymore. Okay. And why don't we then duplicate this slide? And let's just talk about, oops, not that slide. Sorry. I want to duplicate this slide. There we go. We want to talk about sort of considerations. Okay. And this is true for all pen displays. It's not unique to 22, but there are some things I want to make sure I mention here, okay? So etched glass versus screen protector versus matte film, okay? There's RGB gamut, right? There's connectivity. There's fan noise. There's obviously the pen. Anything else? Oh yeah, there's a resolution, pixelation. Very important to the size, very important. Hera has joined us, everyone. Thank you, Hera, for joining us. Thank you for joining us. Hera is awesome. See, now she gets to see me say it live. Wokopium says the Cintiq 22 DTK cost 1,300 USD, permanently dropped down to 1,000 USD. Yeah, I thought I saw it at a higher price. Okay. There was cost. What else? Right? There is a pen replacement cost. Okay. There is, what's the other one? Tilt compensation. Okay, and then of course, and I'm bringing these up, they are generic topics, but they're also relevant to the ones we're talking about, okay? Pen replacement cost, pen pressure range, IF, and maximum pressure, and consistency, unit to unit consistency. Okay. So all these topics come into play. You've been busy working, Hera? Well, I hope you're enjoying what you're working on. I don't know what you're doing. You may not want to share that, but whatever it is, I hope you're enjoying it. And I'm going to turn this light off since it makes me look less dramatic. There we go. I always like this with my face a little bit in shadow. Okay. So here's what we got. We got these topics. Okay. And let us now try to just deal with the top picks. Okay. Now what I have here is the top picks from. Let's just go through them very quickly. This is from 2024, and then we're going to revise this, okay? So, this was one of my top picks, the Artist 22 Plus. We'll get into the reasons why in a second. But I have some notes. So we'll take a look at the notes. We'll revise them. This is another top pick. Now, the cost varies, right? Then we have kind of dated and expensive. And we have things that are good compromises, okay? But since I made this, I have so much, we have new tablets to talk about, okay? So that's what we're gonna do. But before we do that, let me just get right to the heart of it. What are my top picks, okay? Let's get here and take this and let's duplicate this slide here and start talking about the top picks, okay? So we'll start with just putting them as top picks. And this is my honest, there's really, Wacom's always gonna be in the Wacom Cintiq Pros are always gonna be in basically always, gonna be the top picks. That doesn't mean they're perfect, okay? So Wacom's gonna be there, no doubt, but it has negatives. Okay, number 2, I think the artist, right after that, honestly, I would rank the Huion Canvas 22 Gen 3. I have it, it's on my desk over there. I think it definitely deserves to be a top pick. Is it perfect? No. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. And if you compare, and take a look already, we're talking about 600 versus 3000. That's got to affect your choice. That has got to affect your choice. Let's see. Is the Cintiq 22 even available? I thought they stopped all Pro Pen 2 generation tablets. They have, but it is available. Like, you can still purchase it. I still saw it on the Wacom site. It's still widely available on Amazon and other retailers. So people ask about it all the time. And of course it is on eBay. People do ask about the tablet, right? So even if it wasn't, strictly speaking, still being sold by Wacom, I'd have to deal with the topic because they're presented with this choice. And there are valid reasons to get the Cintiq 22. There are, but you have to know what the issues are. Is it the drawing experience? No, the drawing experience is fantastic, but that's not the issue, right? The issues have to, I'm gonna say this has to deal with color, just in general. So let me just actually display color. Let me do this. Display. This is DX means drawing experience, okay? And dev means just like device stuff, okay? Not developer. Display. It'll let me categorize these topics a little bit better. And this is like just general information about the model, which is the cost. This, I would call this it's not really a display issue, but it is kind of a display issue. I'm gonna put it there. Okay, so let's just group these now that we have the groupings. It should say model. Oh, I actually forgot bezels. Got to talk about bezels. Bezels. That's it. Okay, we got let's see. Harris says, just a regular boring office job, but my coworkers are nice. Well, that's super important. And I'm well fed here. Lots of treat snacks be brought in. That's good to hear that. I have a little anecdote for you about office treats. Okay. So when I was working in Microsoft, so basically in Microsoft teams of various sizes, but let's say a team, the smallest size I'm talking about is like 50 people. Okay. There's like an administrative assistant. So there's a person who sort of runs the entire team. And so that person will be assigned an administrative assistant, usually dedicated to that person. That does things like schedule meetings for that person, but also sort of takes care of the entire team. Like if they need a mouse or cables or whatever, new computer, et cetera, et cetera. And of course, and what do they do? One of the administrative assistants they'll have treats for you, okay? And what are the treats? There's usually a bucket which is refilled, like it's kept filled, okay? Like it's absolutely kept filled. And when it dips down, they are told, and I've seen it. There's usually like a storage room filled with like extra buckets of bags of goodies, and they'll purchase it. So a lot of money gets spent into the treats. What are the treats? Okay, basically it's going to be candy. Okay, occasionally you'll see fruit, but let's be real here. It's candy. Is it stuff like pretzels and things? I don't think so. I think it's always candy. But sometimes it can be other things. So when I was working in, this is like in the 90s, in Microsoft Exchange, the treats could include things like apples, bananas, of course candy, M&M, we'll talk about candy in a second. Beef jerky, okay? There was believe it or not. Things like that. I don't know, like Slim Jims maybe would have been a treat. Candy would have been like little bags of Skittles or M&Ms or little tiny candy bars or like little chocolate, individually wrapped chocolate pieces. And when you're getting towards shipping something, right? People are in the office all the time, so the treat things have to get refilled. Even the treat baskets have to get refilled much more often because everyone's there like till late at night. And this is kind of a half-joking theory. I don't think it's not really true, but it always felt that way. I was joking with someone. I said, I was joking. Remember this? I was joking. I said, you can always tell when the leadership team is happy with us and when they're displeased with our progress hitting our deadline, our milestone. I said, because if they're happy with us, the basket of treats is filled with candy. It's not only candy, but there's tons of chocolate and sweet things, okay? And bad things, meaning bad for your heart. Salty, beef jerky. So those kind of bad things you shouldn't eat, but people crave. And then when they're displeased with us, like we're late or things aren't working well, we'd be punished with fruit. Like we'd be punished with the healthy options. But that was my and again, I'm joking, kind of. But treats are important. 22 inches, such a great size. There should be more options. Yes, let's talk about that. Hera also says, I wish that Cintiq 2025 was 22 inches instead of 24. I do too, Hera. I 100% agree with you on that one. Valcopium is saying that Nick, Cintiq 22 2019 and Cintiq Pro 2018 are still available in some regions. There's a lot of them in the secondhand. Yeah, there are a ton of those. I see that on eBay all the time. For $1,000, I don't see any sense in the old Cintiq 22. Well, I think there is sense in it, though the sense has changed, and we'll talk about that. It used to make, I think, more sense in the past. I think it makes less sense now. Fruit punishment, yeah, it truly is. Like, remember, the punishment is health, good health. And I would be like, at that time, I was like eating a lot of beef jerky. So for me, like I was carefully monitoring the beef jerky levels in the basket because I was trying to avoid like carbs, right? So for me, beef jerky was super important. Okay, let me tell you another little secret. It's not a secret, it's just obvious. Let's suppose you have a personal preference. Everyone has their preferences, right? Some people love M&Ms. I'm a big M&M lover as well. I like chocolate things. I don't have candy very often, but I do like it. But your administrative assistant might they don't sweat that. Like, they're not super like fixated on their personal candy. They'll just get whatever the team wants, really, and whatever they're habitually ordering. So they might be into like Skittles, like fruit flavored candy, right, or whatever. So what you need to do for many reasons, this is just one of them. You need to be buddies with your administrative assistant. You need to be their best friend, right? Because the more they like you, and you're not an irritant to them, the more they will fill the basket with the stuff you love, instead of the stuff that the people they don't like want to eat. So it pays to be very friendly to the administrative assistants. Nick said, shocking. Microsoft and treating employees well. I thought you will tell some dark story about a cup of rice per day and a warden with a leather whip. I think the whips are mental. They are not physical, but they hurt just as much when they are, used against you. Trust me. I should talk about how do you motivate a team? How do you? I've done it myself. There's what they say, the iron hand and the velvet glove, right? How do you maintain control and authority at the same time? Just be nice, right? It's an interesting balance. But okay, let's talk about just the size. Okay, let's just talk about the size. Give me a second. I'm going to duplicate this slide if I can. Okay. I'm going to call it the magic of 22-inch displays. Okay, here's my honest take. I think everyone's going to have their opinion. Have you heard that story of what is it with the girl and the three bears? Not meeting a bear or a man in the woods. What is the story? Like a girl comes into a cottage, and there's like porridge or something, and like one small, medium, and large, and like there's one that's quote just right. I forget. Is that Goldilocks and the Three Bears? I can't remember these old things. But that's a situation with 22-inch pen displays. Okay, that is the situation. 22-inch pen displays, I think. Goldilocks, yes, Goldilocks. Thank you, Heradia and Pleasing. Everyone's going to have their little Goldilocks thing, okay? Everyone is going to say, well, I like this or like that, or, okay? But objectively, I am correct, at least for now. 22-inch displays, and there's not a lot of them. You saw in the last 10 years, we can list like 8 of them, okay? Goldilocks and the Three Bears, okay. Is that a Brothers Grimm story, by the way? I forget. By the way, just a little FYI. You know how we have the Brothers Grimm story? Sorry, I'm just going on a rant because we can just talk about. I can just stuff like this all day. So, you remember the story Cinderella? Okay, in German it's Aschenputtel. Aschenputtel. I believe that's correct. Aschen, I guess ashes. So cinder, right? Cinderella. The story we know, like the Disney story or the modern storybook story, is very it's very interestingly constructed. Okay, so first of all, it's not very dark story. Like the worst one can say is that the stepsisters are bad people. Okay, there's not really a lot of darkness there, right? It's just, well, they're bad, right? But the original story is crazy. Like, well, it's not. It's very much the same, but there are some key elements that are different. By the way, number one, the slipper. I don't know if it's really a slipper or whatever, but it's some kind of shoe. Okay, Goldilocks was not by the Grimm brother. Okay, for some reason I always assumed it was. Cinderella. Remember, like, I think she goes, I don't know about the witch and the pumpkin and all that. I just know that she gets transformed and, like, I guess she has to leave because the spell is gonna wear out at midnight or something. And she leaves her shoe, and the prince, it's always a prince, right? The only way he can tell who it is if they fit into the shoe. Okay. Now, the three sisters, I think they're stepsisters. They, I may be getting this wrong, but here's my memory of when we talked about the story back like 30 years ago. The stepsisters actually do fit in the shoe because they cut. I swear to God, I believe they cut off their little toe. I'm not joking. And the way the prince detects this is like he sees the blood in the shoe. Like that's the actual like how he detects it. It's not that they don't fit. It's like he detects some other thing. So there's an amputation involved. That's wild. And there could be multiple versions of the story. So I'm just telling you the one that we learned. The other thing that surprised me is that if I recall correctly, in modern adaptations, the stepsisters are not portrayed as. They're portrayed as, well, they're not attractive. Like Cinderella's beautiful and like she, and they treat her badly, presumably because they're jealous. The stepsisters are not beautiful, but actually the stepsisters are actually beautiful in the original story, right? So I don't know why they don't like her, but it's not a beauty thing. They're all good looking, at least. So that was an interesting difference. And there are other differences, but yeah, it's actually worth reading the originals, but they're kind of darker, right? They're not as sanitized as the Disney versions we're familiar with. Okay, let's see. Remind me to recap. So that was my little story about Cinderella, Aschenputtel. I'll have to research this actually. And sorry, I'm going on so many tangents now. I have one more tangent to go on. I believe I want to show you. Is it Cinderella? Hang on. $1950s. Yeah, that's. Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. This is. Well, not the one. I'm thinking about a different Disney thing. I'll find it in some other stream. But there's just some really beautiful backgrounds in this movie. Let's see. Hera says that's right. One cuts off a toe and the other cuts off a heel. I forgot. I didn't realize that. Cut off a heel. But that's very dark stuff. And amputation as a child story is crazy. Oh, Albert, is there a horrific ending for Goldilocks? I didn't know that. Let's see, For Real says, I've heard the Goldilocks zone a lot before, but I never knew where it came from until now. Yeah, that's the origin. That's the origin. There's some dark stuff in these fairy tales. Dark stuff. But I need to revisit it. I think I tried reading some of Cinderella actually in the original German, or at least in German. It's relative. I mean, I don't think it's hard German. I think it's pretty straightforward. I mean, relatively speaking. Okay, someone asked a question about screen protectors, so we're going to talk about the magic of 22 inches, then we'll talk about screen protectors. That'll be my first topic. Okay, so why do I think 22 inches works? It's pretty simple. I think it's a Goldilocks kind of size. And so what's that, in practice, what does that mean? A 16-inch pen display, 13 inches, for me, they're really good for certain things, okay? They're very portable, for example. I'm trying to find something. So a 16-inch pen display would be, or 13, yeah, this is an iPad here. Let me use this as an example. This is a 13-inch iPad, okay? And then we can take this as a proxy for a 13-inch pen display. Do you know what you can do with a 13-inch pen display? You can lift it up with one hand and move it off your desk, okay? You can walk around with it. You can put it on a bus, right? It's not a big deal. 16 inches is a little more difficult, but you can definitely just move it away from you on your desk. Okay, and your desk may even have enough space for you to move it away to. Okay? Even 16 inches. As you get to 19 inches, you'll have to put a little bit extra effort. You're gonna have to like pick the tablet up with like two hands because it'll feel weird to do it with one. It'll be a lot of force to deal with. But you can still just push it right away with one hand, right? And there might be enough space for your desk to just have a 19-inch pen display move over. So that's from the bottom side. Oh, one more thing. Let me show you the overhead here. This is a 13-inch pen display. Let me zoom out. Where's my zoom here? Hang on. Okay, as it slowly zooms forever. Let's clear some space here. So let me ask you a question. Where's my keyboard? It's just pretend this is like a Canvas 13 or something, okay? It's right up here. I can actually just put my hands over this and start typing. My mouse is still here, right? And even if I put my keyboard over here, it's fine. I can still just move my hand. I don't have to like shift my entire body over here. I just have to lean a little bit. I can type. It's a decent size. 16 inches is almost the same, okay? And that's fine. It's convenient for a desk. It's very convenient. Oh, we have some comments here. I think she jumps out the window. Does she survive? I hope so. Koyo, hey, good to see you. You should check out the Vietnamese parallel version of Cinderella. It's even more gruesome. Oh, wow. I did not know there was a parallel version in Vietnam. Wild bears are not very nice in general, especially Arctic. Well, yeah. Polar bears they're dangerous. They're dangerous. Stay away from bears. Stay away from bears. We're not going to get into that discussion about this thing where women are asked, would you rather meet a man in the woods or a bear in the woods? We're going to stay away from that one. Nick, okay, Nick, of course, I should have known you'd ask about this. So, Nick, this is actually, believe it or not, this is to play a 30-year-old game called TIE Fighter. That's why I bought this. TIE Fighter has a lot of keyboard commands, and like, there's just lots of things you have to do with it. So I wanted more buttons. That's why I got this instead of just like and I wanted one to last because yes, Nick, I want to try DCS. First, I'll probably start Nuclear Option, which is a popular flight sim right now. But yeah, I want to do DCS. I actually want to do DCS. Twisted Apex, Turing 14 decent display at 22.5K. I think so. I think someone told me there's a touch version, but I couldn't find where to buy it. But I might get it. Just depends on my mood this year. Okay, so 22 inches. By the way, here's a 19-inch pen display. I just want to show you what it looks like. Okay, I'm just gonna lay it flat. This is not a pen display. It's actually just a monitor. Even a 19-inch, if you could lay it flat, it's kind of, here, let me move the iPad out of the way here. Again, this is a monitor, not a pen display, but I'm just trying to show you, and it's much thinner than a pen display. It's actually reasonable, right? It's reasonable. For me, a size of a pen display starts getting reasonable at 19 inches. Okay? Reasonable. Now, when you start getting into 24 inches, I'm going the other side now. I have a 32-inch pen display. It's too big. You can't do, it's gonna take up the entire desk. With my Cintiq 32, I'm gonna use the iPad. Just pretend this is super big, okay? It's across. The only place I can put it, basically the iPad or the Cintiq 30 covers the entire desk space, and I have enough space to keep the keyboard here. But when I'm drawing, I put the keyboard way over here. and it's really at the edge of my desk now, okay? And you can't move it. To move it means you have to find another space to keep something that big, which means you need another desk or you have to put it on the floor. The thing is heavy. And you have to lift it with 2 arms. You might even need help with somebody to lift it. So you start getting into like, it just, you can't even reach over it. You can't reach over it. I can't. And my arms are very long for some of my height. And reaching something to the side is difficult. 27 is almost as bad. 24 is even big. I find it kind of really big for me. 22 is just right in that zone where it's big, but it's not too big. Is it one hand easily movable? No. But it's not you still have to pick it up with 2 hands, but it's not crazy to move it around. And it gives you enough space, right? So I think it's a good balance. I think it's a really good balance. And that's why I think it's a Goldilocks size for me. Let's see, Harris says, comparing the Touring 14 and the XE Pen Ultra. Yes, that actually would be a good comparison. Nick says 19 is golden spot for a tablet display. 24 is not too big, you just need a big desk. Yeah, I think of the sizes I use, I think 19 and 22 work really well for me. I will say though, since I've been using a 32-inch, I'm gonna reconsider a 27-inch because 24-inch feels pretty luxurious. It is actually quite nice, but I want to reconsider my other options. Mir, good to see you. Let's see. Is it just me? Is your face cam too small? Mir, I did slightly change the distance from the camera to my face, so it might be a little small. Not too much, but it is, I think, a little bit small. Also, there's probably just, if I'm leaning back a little bit, it probably changes it a little bit. Okay. So 22 inches is a good size. 19 inch is also a good size for me. There are just not that many 19-inch monitors or pen displays around. So that's why I think 22-inch is good. Now, the other thing that's magical at 22 inches, and I don't know why this is, I really cannot explain this. For some crazy reason, you get some great, just weirdly great values at 22 inches. Not all of them are great values, but there are some amazing values in 22-inch sizes available right now. We'll talk about them, okay? So having said that, let us answer, who was it that asked, Kenina, thanks for joining us. 22 inches is probably the sweet spot. Yeah, I think for me it is. I can understand 19 inches for a lot of people. Depends on what you need. Like I draw on my desk. So for me, 19, 22 works great. Some people, they don't have a large desk or they need to travel, so that 16, 30, 13 makes sense. Yeah, it's not about the size, it's how you, I think Nick tricked me. I started responding to the comment before I thought about it. Yeah. It is not about the size, it's how you use it. Yes, that is correct. And that's all I'll say about that. So there are good values. We'll talk about the values. Okay, so that was number one. Number second, what's the next topic? Let's see. Etched glass versus matte film. Okay, this is related. I do want to talk about this. So this, technically speaking, is not related to 22 inches or not. It's about all pen displays, but I've been meaning to talk about this topic for a while. So for some reason, over the years, to protect, remember, what is a matte film is there to protect the glass and give you a little bit of texture. At some point, pen displays started getting etched glass, okay? And etched glass started being positioned as a premium, for professional tablets. Now etched glass is coming in basically all tablets, okay? I'm not complaining about that. I myself like that. However, is etched glass is etched glass always better? And my opinion on this has changed. I used to think, well, yeah, of course you'd want etched glass. But I think there are valid reasons why a screen protector, a matte film, actually might be better in some cases. Let me just give you a couple of cases here. Okay? Number one, if you scratched your etched glass, now etched glass is hard to scratch. At least I should say, I know people can scratch them, but I've never scratched etched glass myself. I've never had them scratched. But once you scratch them, that's it. There's no fixing it. You're going to have that scratch forever. Okay? Hopefully it's a scratch that's just not very visible or only visible in certain lighting conditions. But sometimes you can scratch it with like a real groove. I think it's rare, but it does happen. You can also develop micro scratches. Okay? There is no fixing that. There is no, like, you can't go somewhere and say, please replace the glass of my pen display. Every tablet manufacturer will just say, our solution is to buy a new tablet. That's it. Okay? So with tablets that come with a matte film, a built-in screen protector, if you scratch the screen protector, much of the time, not always, the screen protectors are designed to be removed, or at least they are easily removable. You can peel them off, and you can even buy a custom screen protector with different levels of anti-glare, whatever. So scratching is kind of tolerable in a screen protector world because you can replace the screen protector. Now, you have to be good at replacing screen protectors because you don't want air bubbles, but you can see that's an advantage, right? I have used a lot of etched glass and matte screen protectors. You know what's funny is you would think that the screen protector, which is plastic, would feel soft. It doesn't. I don't feel that. They feel just as rigid as glass to me. So I don't think it's a question of how good they feel to draw on. It might feel a little more like a little tackier, it sticks a little bit more, but it's such a tiny feeling. Mir says, I meant the face cam switch to desktop mode. Yeah, that got smaller, yeah. But I can change that dynamically. Mir says, any updates on the Huion 22-inch dual diagonal wall? You said you'll reset and compare. I haven't done that yet, Mir, I'm sorry. I've just been busy doing other stuff. But I will try to remember to do that. I think etched glass, Hera, I do think etched glass feels a little bit better in terms of surface texture, but it's only just a little bit. Okay, just like a tiny bit. So somebody once suggested, I don't think this is a bad idea necessarily, that in a sense it might be better if tablets did not use etched glass, that they came only with screen protectors that were replaceable. Because think about it, you scratch it up, get a new screen protector. That'll be at least, yeah, it might cost $50, but it'll be cheaper than buying a new tablet. That's a reasonable belief. That's a reasonable belief, okay? Also, with screen protector, you can pick how much anti-glare sparkle you want. Like if you buy from Photodon, which has custom sizes, by the way, you can say a lot of anti-glare sparkle or none at all. So it gives you options on what you want. Etched glass doesn't give you any options, okay? So a related question is, should you get a screen protector even if your tablet has etched glass? That's a fascinating one. I would say this. If you're concerned about scratches, go ahead and get a screen protector. If you're afraid you're going to scratch it, explore a screen protector. With Photodon and maybe other companies, you can buy a sample kit, which is, I don't know, $15, $5, something. Little small squares you can apply and see which one works better. Remember, you can pick how much anti-glare sparkle you do or don't want. I haven't seen them where you can pick how much texture. They all have basically the same texture. But that's a valid thing to do. If you're concerned about it, explore a screen protector. Harris, do we have a film on KP19? No, KP19 is etched glass. Yeah, if you're thinking about one for your Moving 13, look, try out the sample kit. See if it works for you, right? It's just a small square like this, and you can see what it looks like and draw it and see maybe it'll be okay for you. It's not a bad idea. And it's especially good for the Moving 13 because the Moving 13 it actually has an anti-reflective coating as well that easily scratches. So it's not the etched part, it's the actual layer on top of it. I scratch mine all the time, easily. So if of all the pen displays that is etched glass that you might want to get screen protector for, yeah, Moving 13 is definitely one of them. Kanina says, my old XP Pen 22E came with a screen protector in the box. Oh, interesting. So it wasn't already applied. You just got one and you can add. Oh, that's interesting. You can put screen protectors on etched glass. Yes, yes. Let's see. James has the XP Pen Artist Ultra 16. Nothing bad to say about it. Sword Waltz. Is the X4 pen dramatically improved from the X3 Pro? No. I only have one of them, and I can't tell any real difference, to be honest. It was just like, it seemed fine. I couldn't really tell. Harris says, no, I mean installed on my film KP19. Hey, Nem. Hey, good to see you, man. IF slightly improved on X4, but everything else is roughly the same as X3 Pro. Yeah, I didn't see, I only have one unit, so I can't really say, but it seemed the same to me as the X3 Pro, which has low IF and consistent IF. So some of these 22-inch pen displays have etched glass, some have screen protector. I don't think that's a major, what I'm gonna say is there's not a major reason for picking one over the other for me, but if you're gonna get one with a screen protector, make sure you get a tablet where you can find another screen protector, or at least know the cost of getting a screen protector. With etched glass, again, if you're gonna get an etched glass 22-inch pen display, if you're nervous about scratching, see what it would like, test, get a sample kit of screen protectors and try it out. Albert says the Moving 13 is down to $500 this week. Oh, that's a good price. Hanem says pen lottery, meaning the variation unit to unit, could also just mean X4 equals X3 Pro in most cases. That would not surprise me at all. Contemplating of whether buying Artist 16 Gen 3 or Artist XP Pen Artist Pro 16 Gen 2. So Sword Waltz, that's a tough one. I think both are very good. What's weird is unless you need some specific color thing, the XP Pen does, I generally lean toward the Artist 16 Gen 3, just because the pressure handling is better with the pen, and I think it has a little less noise in the stroke. You need less smoothing to get a good stroke. But both are good. I've used them both extensively, and I think they're both are very good. But I think the 16 Gen 3 has an edge. Okay, so in considerations, we talked about the, oops, hang on, where's my keyboard? Disappeared. Okay. So we talked about this. I'm just gonna put a little star saying we talked about it. The next, let's talk about the next thing, which is cost, okay? We're gonna talk about cost. And let's review the cost too. Take a look at this. $3,000 all the way to $450. Okay, some of the to $450 now, and some of these are at $350. I would say you don't want to cheap out here. I think you should plan, if you're getting a 22-inch, to spend $500 to $550. Okay. We'll talk about the sub 500 ones, but you're going to lose out on a few things. That might be okay for you. But is the $3,000 worth it? Well, unless you really need I think it's hard to justify, to be honest. Okay, let's talk about what we covered: cost. Now let's cover connectivity. This actually is an interesting topic. Some of these have actually connectivity for the most part is pretty good. With some of the older ones, connectivity is a little weird, and we'll show you the specific examples. Fan noise. Every one of these tablets is quiet except the Cintiq Pro 22. They're all silent except for that Cintiq Pro. But you have to consider it, right? That's one negative to Cintiq Pro. Bezels. Every one of them has small bezels except the XP Pen Artist 22 Plus, which has bigger bezels. So it will feel like a 24-inch in terms of physical size, even though it's just 22 inches. Pen, what's changed here is that when we started the list in 2024, we really had the Pro Pen 3, but we didn't have the new Huion pens. And I think the X3 Pros weren't released. So in that time, the Huion pens have gotten really good. The X3 Pros are pretty good, not quite as good as the Huion. So that has changed, okay? And what's changed is they've all gotten lower IAF. They've gotten higher max pressure. The PW600 pens from Huion are more consistent. The X3 Pros are kind of somewhat inconsistent, but still pretty decent in terms of max pressure. Pen replacement cost. So the Pro Pen 3's replacement cost is what? $130. The X3 Pro is I think like 50 or 60, and the the PW600L is like 80, right? So you got to be aware of the cost issue. Tilt compensation, everyone's great. I think the XP Pen, specific models I've tested, some are okay and some are good. Right, but they seem to be a little bit, so if tilt compensation means, well, the pointer be under the tip, even if you're tilting the pen. With XP pens, some models tend to, if you're tilting from the left, they tend to be a bit off. Calibration may help there, or maybe the newer drivers have fixed it. So it's something you should pay attention to and ask people if you're getting a pen, any pen display, but certainly in these cases, yes. Resolution. Okay, so we have data on this. Give me a second. What resolution should you get? Let's see. I did a survey, and I'm going to ask people to actually, let me show you the survey really quickly. It's about size and resolution. So let's see if I can copy the, okay. I'm going to paste this in the chat. If you haven't filled out the survey, please fill it out, okay? This is an anonymous Google survey, okay? It's only 2 questions. It'll take you like a minute. Okay, so let's show you what we got here. What resolution should you get? So we have data. The survey says, which size do you prefer drawing, right? And then the second question is, for those sizes, what do you think the ideal resolution is? Okay, so let's take a look at the responses. Currently, we have 29 responses. For those of you who have not filled it out, please fill out the survey. Okay, here's what we got. Most people, believe it or not, are using 16-inch. Actually, a good set of you are using of the respondents are using 16-inch pen displays. Like over half. Okay, 51%. Surprisingly, of the respondents, 30% are using 22 inches. I think that's unusual. I think that's something. I expect more 13-inch usage, which is the green, which is only at like 13%. So I think this is slightly skewed toward 22 inches. Now, that's actually good in our case because we're asking people about the resolutions. Okay, well, we have more responses, so let's refresh this. Take a look. Now we have 31 responses. Thank you. So at 13 inches, people want what? Actually, what they think is the ideal. Most people think a 1920 by 1080 works fine. It's the ideal at 13 inches, but a decent contingent want what is it called? WQHD, 2560 by 1440, a decent number. As you start getting to 4K, people are like, too much, and I'd agree with that. It's not helpful at 13 inches, right? At 16 inches, we start seeing a major shift. We start seeing people move from HD, 1920 by 1080. Some people are still fine with it. It's actually okay, but we start seeing people shift toward 2560 by 1440. Okay? Beyond 16 inches, what do we see? By the way, and look how prominently this shows up here. At 22 inches, things have dramatically shifted away from HD. In fact, they are shifting even away from 2560 by 1440. People are really wanting 4K. Okay? So, what does this tell you? Since we're talking about 22-inch pen displays, most people think 1920 by 1080 is not enough. I would say it's tolerable for some people. Some people find it intolerable. Okay? You should at least be wanting a 2560 by 1440 resolution with a 22-inch pen display. And yes, you will totally be fine with 4K. It looks great at 4K on 22 inches, by the way. So I just want you to be aware of what people say. Thank you, Hainam. Euchre says, I use 22. Yeah, I will redo the survey at some point, and I'll add 19 inches. So I apologize for not including 19 inches. But it's interesting. Now at 22 inches, you can see what happens. At every size above that, 4K just becomes dominant. People think 4K is the right answer. I would agree with that. As you start getting to 24 inches, you're going to find that 2560 by 1440 is tolerable. It's tolerable. You're just going to need 4K. Okay? So this reflects, roughly speaking, overall my preferences. Probably I'm a little more tolerable toward 1920 by 1080 at 16 inches, but besides that, this is very close to what I actually intuitively think. And now we're up to 35 responses, so thank you. Let me just refresh to make sure we have the latest data. Yeah, looks like we have a few more 16-inch come in here. And then yeah, this overall trend is still staying the same. People are just gravity hitting, but you can see the sweet spot, right? Switches from 2560 being prominent at 16 inches to much more balanced, but in favor of 4K at 22 inches. So keep that in mind. For real says, I think PPI is the most important metric. Okay, let's talk about PPI for a second. That's actually a really good topic. Let's keep this under display. PPI. So one thing we have to remember about PPI is PPI, meaning pixels per inch, is more important for a pen display than a monitor. You will want a higher PPI for a pen display than a monitor. Now that will be surprising to some people. Maybe not to you in the audience, but some people will be like, what? Why would they be different? And the answer is pretty simple. Let me see if I can make it clear to you. Yeah, I can do that with my overhead. So here's a monitor, okay? Which I think most people have the monitors about this far away, okay? How big is my arm? I don't know, but you can see I'm reaching my arm out there, okay? I can just barely touch the bottom of the screen. So I'm reaching pretty far. I'd have to lean over a little bit to touch the top. But my monitors are actually even further. I can't reach my monitors at all. You can see I'm reaching. There's no way for me to do it. I'd have to stand up and lean over the desk. So my monitor probably 1, 2, 3, and 3 something feet away. This one looks like it's, I don't know, 2 feet away. The further your monitor is, the less your eyes will pick up high pixel density, right? This monitor right here is 1920 by 1080, and I can barely notice it. If you told me this is 2560 by 1440, I'd believe you, okay? It's just really hard for my eyes to pick that up. But a pen display, I'll use the iPad as an example. By definition, to use a pen display, your hand is on it, okay? So you're not drawing, let me move this out of the way. No one is drawing like this, right? That's crazy. That's gonna just really hurt you. You're gonna keep it closer. Now, I think this is probably, I'm gonna tilt it because it makes more sense. You want your elbow on the desk, right? And your hand is resting on the pen display. So it's right about here. That's about, from my eyes, that's about, I don't know, I'd say 12 inches. So a third of a meter, right? Roughly speaking. And then you're going to be drawing like this. So you will see pixelation here where you wouldn't see it over here, okay? So, and on top of that, many of you have devices like an iPad or an iPhone that have super high, like 250 or 300 points per inch. So your eyes are like, what I'm trying to say is you're developing expectations on PPI, okay? So that's another reason why as you get a pen display, you are going to want higher resolution because you will really see the pixels. Now, some of you draw really close. Like with my moving pad, I draw laying on my stomach in bed, right? So like it's like right up here for me. So I will see the pixels, okay? So pay attention to the PPI, okay? Pay attention to the PPI. And I have a document, of course I do. Let me get there, hang on. It's called Picking Right Size for... Actually, hang on. Resolution. Yeah, it's called Choosing a Resolution for a Pen Display. Let me paste this in the chat as well. And Hera, yeah, you're right. UI scaling. We'll get to that in a second. So here's a doc I wrote on choosing resolution for a pen display. Let's show it to you. And I talk about these topics. So let's take a look at some of the things here. So you're seeing right now in front of me is a 13-inch iPad Pro, 260 DPI, okay? You don't need to pay attention to resolution. Just take a look at the points per the pixel density. 260 PPI, okay? All these iPads have like something like a 260. The iPad Mini has a 320 PPI. That's insane. But take a look, and the Galaxy Tab S has 240, 260, 270. So it's in the mid 200s. Now, if that's what you're used to, if that's what you expect, take a look at what happens here as we look at different sizes of screens and what the PPI is going to be. Okay? 13-inch 4K is crazy. It's 340 PPI. It's just that you can see why 4K is really not needed. 13 inches at 2560 by 1400, well, guess what? It's 225 PPI. That's pretty good. If you're used to an iPad, at 16 inches, you can start seeing why people would absolutely start wanting to get 2.5K and beyond, because at 4K, it'll give you like an iPad type experience. Now, there are negatives to this, which Hera points out, which is UI scaling. But let's get to 22 inches. You can see now, at 22 inches, 4K will give you, roughly speaking, iPad pixel density. But if you don't get 4K, you'll get 130 PPI. If you get HD, full HD, you just get 100 PPI. You're going to notice it. 100 PPI, you will absolutely notice it's a lot of pixelization, and people will not like it, typically. It's okay maybe if you're whiteboarding. It's okay maybe if you're just using it for Zoom meetings. But if you're drawing, I think you're going to be like, those pixels are chunky. And of course, you can see with 24 inches and 27 inches. It's actually interesting. At 4K, 27 inches, it's 160 PPI. So you will start seeing the pixels, even if it's 4K. So UI scaling, Hera brought up as a comment here. We'll talk about that. At 22 inches, UI scaling, you don't have to scale it up too much. Like, it works fine on a Mac OS. As you get super high PPI, though, you will need to scale it up, right? And not all OSs, Windows in particular, deals as elegantly with that as you would expect. All apps on Windows. And let's just double check the data here. Let's see if, where is that survey? We have a few more. Yeah, 35. That's good. I'll do a video talking about this information separately. Is there any research on health issues on users about these pen displays? Eye health, headaches. There's no. I haven't seen any research specifically. I can tell you some people. Okay, the truth is, I'm just making up numbers. Don't take this literally. 99% of people just have no issue. 1% of people experience symptoms that I cannot explain, but seem very unique to them. So I'll just tell you right up front. Some people do get headaches seeing things that are up close. We're not sure why that is. It could be because of something unique about them. It may be the refresh rate. It could be the amount of blue light. It could be the anti-glare sparkle is affecting how their eyes focus on things because it kind of fuzzes things out a little bit. So, but it's very idiosyncratic. It doesn't seem like there's a broad, like 10% of people are having headaches looking at a monitor or a pen display. It's like zero. I mean, I'm making up numbers. It's more like 0.001% of people are having a problem. Is it predictable? I don't know. But some people definitely seem to say, I have no research to back it up, but they tell me, hey, when I use this pen display, I get headaches, and I don't know why. I don't know, and I have no data around that. For Real says, I don't think UI scaling is ever an issue if you can do. I don't think UI scaling is ever an issue if you can do integer scaling, 100%, 200%. Yeah, I think that seems to work out better. The problem in Windows is some UI somehow just doesn't realize you're scaling and still just goes back to 100% scaling. I've seen that on Windows many times. These can be older apps, these can be modern apps. It can be a mixed thing with an app. Most of the UI works great, but one dialog comes up, it doesn't scale correctly. Don't know why this happens. The inverse is also true, Harris says. If you do have too low a PPI, the UI can get cramped. Yeah, yeah, absolutely true. Absolutely true. Okay, let's see. Let's get back to. So we talked about PPI. And why did the music stop? Did I mute something? I have no clue. Maybe I have to restart it. I don't know. Okay, let's see. Why did... Unusual. Oh, it's my earbud. My things are muted. There we go. Sorry about that. Yeah, see, I hit a button to mute my own earbuds, so I was like, did the volume go out? My mistake. Okay, so we talked about PPI, we talked about resolution, pixelation. Color just depends on the specific tablet. Some have really wide gamuts, which is not always good, by the way. We'll talk about one of them in a minute. I think we actually just addressed RGB gamut. We talked about replacement cost of pens. We talked about tilt compensation issues. We talked about pen pressure range. And talked about bezels. Yeah, the XP Pen ones have bigger bezels. Okay, so we talked about all the considerations. Now let's rank them. Okay? So this was the landscape. Now we're going to rank. So what are my top picks? Okay, and it's pretty simple. It is these three. Okay? Those are my top picks. And what would I say are good values? Good. Actually, I would say probably a little I'll call this dated. Okay, and I think these two Huyans are a little dated. Okay? They're not bad. They're just dated. And we'll talk exactly what this means. There's also, I don't know. Right? About the Huion RDS. I don't have one, so I can't talk personal experience. And I would call another category uh, uh, basic. Okay? Oops. I would call this maybe decent. Decent is better. Basic sounds maybe pejorative. Okay. So here's where we're at. Well, remember, yeah, sorry, Hera, the volume went up a little bit accidentally. Because I thought maybe that was the problem. So I started tweaking it. Okay. So before we get to the details, let's just tell you the rough outline of why these are ranked. Okay? Now, I have to put the star somewhere. What, and star does not mean the best. Star means sort of like, okay, look, I think this is probably a good choice for a lot of people, okay? So it's very important you remember that. Star here just means like, it's a really good choice, okay? And can anyone guess where the star is gonna go? I'm really curious if you can. It's gonna go actually here. And I'm gonna put it here. Okay? Notice I didn't put it on the Wacom. Okay? So, top picks. If someone wants a pen display, where will I steer you? I will tell you, really, you should be, if you're really an artist, you should be looking at these top picks. Okay? If you have experience with Wacom, especially Pro Pen 2, Pro Pen 3, if you want advanced color stuff, if you have a lot of, you have existing Wacom pens, if you have, Wacom, like you're about that Wacom life, and you already have a Cintiq Pro, and you want to upgrade from a smaller one to a bigger one, I don't think that, you can consider the Cintiq Pro 22. It's $3,000. Are there negatives to it? Yes. It has fan noise. Its chief negative is it's fan noise. That's it. It definitely has the best drawing experience, but the fan noise is irritating. It is so irritating. It's not like a jet engine. It's more like, let's put it this way. The fan kicks in the brighter the display is. It's a relatively bright display. I run it at 50% brightness, even though I prefer to run it at 75 or 100, because the fan noise is too loud at 75 or 100. At 50, I still don't like it, but at least when I'm in my mood, I can tolerate it. Okay? Oh, Hera has a comment here. Let's see. I'd say there aren't many reasons to get the Cintiq Pro 22 over the Cintiq 2025 Touch, since the 24 has Art Pen 2 compatibility. Yeah, well, that's a fantastic choice. Actually, now that you mention that, you raise a great point, which is, let me create a new slide here. I'm gonna create a slide which is like alternatives. I think, Hera, you have a great choice. You have a great comment here, which is, what's an alternative to Cintiq Pro 22? The Cintiq 24 Touch. Yes. Fantastic alternative. Right? That is a great point, Hera. And I 100% agree with you. I think the Cintiq Pro 24 gives you a lot of what you're getting the Cintiq Pro 22 at a dramatically lower cost. So it is an absolute alternative you should be considering at 22 inches, right? What do you lose? Well, you get 2560 by 1440 resolution instead of 4K, but okay, that's not bad though. Number two, you don't get all these advanced color modes. That's it. That you lose. And you gain something. You lose fan noise. That's fantastic. So it's a fan. So yeah, that is, I think, something you should consider. Euchre says, even if I had the money, I wouldn't buy any tablet that needs a fan. It's not only about noise, but I heard it gets hot. I haven't seen it get hot because the fan is kicking in. Maybe it gets slightly warm, but I've not felt it get hot. It manages temperature quite well, actually. I mean, to be honest, it manages the temperature excellently. It does not get hot at all. I don't even think it's gotten warm for me because, again, of that fan. Do pen displays list their minimum brightness? For me, that's a really important thing, but even for just monitors, it's often hard to find. I think that should be a thing that's mentioned a lot more. Very interesting, Lumia Art. I have never seen a pen display list its minimum brightness, ever. Yeah, I've never even thought about it, to be honest, but I've definitely never seen it. It should have a similar footprint on the desk too, since the bezels are smaller. I thought the bezels aren't too different. At least in my memory. For real says, couldn't you possibly replace the fan with a Noctua fan? It's a bit of a project, but it has to be possible. Okay, look, I'm not an electronics guy. So what you're saying, I guess in theory could be done, but I wouldn't know how to do it. And I wouldn't know what the risks are or the steps to do so or the pros and cons. So if anyone can point to a project where you've seen someone actually do something like that, even to a different tablet, I'd love to see it. Okay, so yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that, Hera, because it is important to understand alternatives. Okay, but let's talk about the Huion Canvas 22 Gen 3. And let me get, while I'm there, let's just get the actual model number. Okay, Canvas 22 Gen 3. Oh, I can't believe I didn't memorize this. GS2203. And then the Artist Pro. Oh, sorry. I'm searching for this. Artist Pro 22 Gen 2 is the XP Pen has such, for me, hard to type in model numbers. I always like to add the model numbers so we're absolutely clear which one I'm talking about. But I do want you to pay attention to the prices here. We're talking about 600, sometimes 560, and then for the XP Pen, 570. I've got to tell you, these two are like, that's a lot of value. You cannot imagine how much you're getting, right? You're getting a good size, you're getting a pretty good drawing experience, slightly better in the Canvas 22 Gen 3. That's why I recommend it so much, okay? I think it's a really good value. So I'm going to put this alternative, which is Hera here. Hera's suggestion, alternative, is the Cintiq 2025. Terrific value, right? It's a terrific value. Let me spell alternative correctly, right? Which I'm gonna put a star there, honestly, because I think it deserves a star. It absolutely does deserve a star. 24 Touch. Yeah, I should include both of these, actually. And let's find the cost of that Cintiq 24, Cintiq 24, 2025 on Amazon. This is, okay, I'm looking at the costs here. Actually, I'll list them both separately. They have their own costs here. The non-touch is how much? It is $1,300. Okay? And then how much does the touch cost? It is $1,500. So it's not cheap, but you know, this is your price, right? You pay twice as much and you'll get the alternative. If you want to pay 6 times as much, you'll get, or 4 times as much, you'll get the Cintiq Pro 22. So there you go. Again, they're not cheap, but like I said this many times, what makes the Cintiq 2024, 2025 models interesting is that you start asking yourself a different question. See, from 700 to 3,000, you're like, why should I pay why should I get the Cintiq Pro? But from 700 to 1,200, you're more like, well, why not? Yeah, I mean, definitely you're paying much more money, but like, it's not $2,000 more money, okay? Let's see. Stars and raindrops, you can ask any question. Absolutely. Yeah, just anything about drawing tablets. Don't worry about it. Doesn't matter if it's relating to the theme or not. Oh, Harry, you're talking about the Cintiq Pro 20. Yeah, that has big bezels. Yes. Lumiart says the iPads go really low in brightness. Yes, I agree. At night, I'm with my iPad. Yeah, I like the low brightness. Yeah, they should list it. You're right. Harris says, I would also like to mention that Cintiq Pro and Canvas 22 Gen 3 both have higher refresh. Oh, yeah. So that's a great point. We have here a new thing. I believe this has it's a 90 hertz, right? That's a cool thing. That's 90 hertz. That's a differentiator, right? Okay. And I believe, yeah, it's a good differentiator. That's probably the biggest differentiator I can think of. And it's got a good pen, right? And I'll say, yeah, I'll actually mention that specifically. This PW600L has, oops, you can't see what I'm saying. It's another I would say it's really close to Pro Pen, right? It's very close. I think some people could say arguably they catch up to Wacom here, okay? That's why I favor the 22 Gen 3 over the Artist Pro 22 Gen 3, by the way. Oh, also it has consistent max pressure. IF is still trailing a bit, but it's still pretty low. Kinina says, I was a little torn whether to touch or not on the Cintiq 24, ended up not getting it. The truth, and this, as much as I say touch is going to be a standard feature, I think that I use it 1 out of 50 times when I use a tablet. But when I use it, it's really critical. California Inking says, I've never used a screenless tablet, but lately I've been wondering if that's a viable alternative. Okay, I have a lot of thoughts about this, and what I'm going to do is, give me a second. I have a huge article on this, so I'm going to point you to that. And if you want to talk about specific topics related to that article, just let me know, California King. I'm going to paste it right now in the chat. It's called Pen Tablets versus Pen Displays. And it compares yeah, I'll just show it to you real quickly. So it covers like common myths, right? And then it has all sorts of little things about like, it kind of ranks them, compares them, like computer requirements, and one's a winner, loser, or tied, posture, like lots of things. So, and anyone in the chat, if you see something about this you'd like to drill into, just let me know. Okay, so this is my top picks. I'm going to split the top picks to their own slide. top picks. That way it gives me space to write things down. Okay? So we'll remove the top picks from here and we'll go to the rest. Okay, so now we'll talk about the decent one, which is the XP Pen Artist 22 Plus. Okay? So the context here is that we have a couple of tablets that were really in the same zone, which is the Huion Canvas 22 and 22 Plus. I have the 22 Plus from Huion, and I have the XP Pen Artist 22 Plus. I genuinely prefer the XP Pen Artist 22 Plus here. It's decent. It's actually almost the same as their professional tablet. What's the difference? Well, it's only HD. So if you can deal with the lower resolution for $440, it's a tremendously good deal. And you get a pretty good drawing experience, okay? That's why it's in the decent category, okay? And the connectivity is good as well. Let's see, California Inking says, thanks for sharing. Started thinking about it a few weeks ago and you would have something. As I always say, I have a page for every topic. And if I don't have that topic, I'll write a page about it. Stars and raindrops. I saw on your site you're familiar with OTD and recommended for people who use 2 different tablets. So I was wondering if it's possible to use OTD while keeping another tablet driver installed. No. Well, actually, let me back up here. The answer is no. It will, and this goes for both Windows and Mac OS and even Linux. You have to make sure you don't have other tablet drivers installed. You've got to only use OTD. Buzzing says, I was planning on buying a UG pen display because I found it really cheap, secondhand. Yeah, which one? For Real says, hey, that's a good idea, For Real. That's a really good suggestion. For Real is suggesting to California Inking, try turning off the pen display. Try turning off the display of your pen display to get a feel for the screenless tablet experience. Yeah, many pen displays, not all, you can actually somehow disable the screen so that it will effectively behave like a pen display. If you're interested in doing that, guess what? I have a doc about that. Let's see, it's called Using a Pen Display as a Pen Tablet. Of course I have a document about this. Let's see. I only have a 27-inch pen display yeah, that's a good size. The UE12. Okay, so you're looking for a smaller one. Yeah, I would say 12 is definitely the smallest you want to get. There are a couple of 10 inches. People just don't like 10 inch. Maybe if you're a really small person. But most people say 12 is the smallest. Most people being, I think, like Brad and Tio. And I certainly feel that way. It's more ideal to buy the same brand because of drivers and such, but XP Pen and Huion still need a pen. Yeah, that's a great point. Let's drill into this. So, if you're going to switch tablet brands, you got to switch drivers because you can't mix them. At least on Windows, they interfere. On Mac OS, they can sort of play together for most people. Some people say they interfere. But really, if you're going to switch, you got to be prepared for this on Windows. You're going to have to pick which one you want to use. You can't use both. Unless you're willing to install and uninstall drivers. Bosto. Come on, no Bosto. I never recommend Bosto. Okay, if you're small, then it might work. But cut out a piece of cardboard with that size and try it out. Let's see. Stars and Stripes says, example. Could I keep XP Pen driver installed on my laptop and use OTD for my Wacom tablet? No, you can't mix and match that way either. That's a good question. Yeah, that you can't mix and match. Even if you're talking about using different tablets. Yeah, good question. Okay, I need to take a quick bio break. Just give me a few minutes, I'll be right back. Okay, I am back, and let's just take a look at the comments real quick. Let's see, Hera says, I use a Huion pen display and a Wacom Intuos Pro on the same computer. Yeah, okay, so Hera is actually telling you the truth, but let me just tell you my experience with it. So what she's saying is she uses WinInk with the Huion and WinTab on the Wacom. Otherwise, yeah. So, oh God, this is so complicated to explain. I gotta calm down because it's so hard to explain. In theory, so there are two ways a tablet will interact with the operating system in an application. The driver will essentially, you can go through WinTab, which is a industry standard, or you can use Windows Ink. Okay, you've all seen your tablet driver, this little checkbox. Okay, what that checkbox actually does, it's interesting by the way. You're probably thinking it disables WinTab, and that's true, but I mean, just to be totally clear, what it means is if it's enabled, the tablet driver will talk, if needed, both WinTab and Windows Ink. And if you uncheck it, it means it'll do only Windows Ink. Now, in theory, and I've talked to Cube about this, in theory, you can do exactly what Hera is doing, and you can say, what is it she uses? Yeah. You can say use WinInk for the Huion. So in the driver say use WinInk. And so it's only going to talk WinInk. Oh, sorry, it's going to talk WinInk and WinTab. And in the Wacom, you can say use WinTab. And then you have to make sure your apps are talking the appropriate language. Now, I have tried this twice. And this is what happens every time. It works, and then at some point, like a month later, it stops. Now, I'm not sure what causes it to stop. It could have been I installed a driver update and that did something. It could have been the apps changed and that's something. It could have been Windows had a Windows update and that's something. Or it could have been magic. I don't know. But I've never consistently been able to do what Hera has done. Other people have. Hera obviously can do it. I think Cami Luna may have said she does something like that. But I have not. And that's why I sort of have a blanket statement of don't mix and match. But technically, that's how Hera is describing it is actually how it's supposed to work. So I just want you to be aware it should work. And maybe, I'll do an experiment again where I try mixing it up. But I want to do it for like 6 months because if it's going to break after a month, I would not recommend it. But it sounds like Hera's making it work for quite a while. Hera says, it also means I need, good point. It also means I need to switch my CSP settings. I need to switch tablets, yes. This is why it's just better just to have one tablet brand, because it's just one driver. I haven't bothered installing OTD because I didn't have dial compatibility last time I checked it now. Well, now it does have it. And also, Hera, if you don't want to, remember, we have also my little tool called Open Tablet Artist, which can simplify the usage of Open Tablet Driver and will let you use multiple tablets. And it adds a bunch of features OTD does not have, like a graphical mapping thing and a display pointer calibration. So think about it. And it does support dials. It has UI to support the dials. But yeah, stars and raindrops is right. They still don't have, for some tablets, it's not supported, yeah. James Chasing Sunrises says, I tried using my Huion and XP pen drives on the same computer, and while it seemed to work at first, it ended up being messy and not responsive after third. Yeah, that's just more like my experience, what James Chasing Sunrises happens, right? It works at first, then something, and just like, I found it as non-responsiveness and also loss of pressure. I have no clue what would cause it, but this is why I do not recommend it. Harris says, I actually switched from Wacom to Huion, but Wacom released the moving pads, and Huion not releasing a good Android tablet or updated pen tabs made me want to switch back. Yeah, it's, I don't know what's going on in Huion land, but we haven't seen a pen tablet with, look, it's very simple what I want. We've said this so many times in the streams. We want Huion to release a new set of pen tablets that use the PW600 pen. That's it. We know the PW600 pen is great. Why they don't release pen tablet? Now they've released the Huion Frego, which has the PW550, which is really kind of like it's a good pen, but not quite as good as the PW600. And it doesn't have an eraser either. And I think it doesn't have as low an IAF. But that's what we're waiting for. And it's been, over a year now we've been waiting. Don't know what the delay is. I'm hoping they're going to surprise me sometime. And again, my theory is in 5 years, Huion and XP Pen will be at the same fundamental technology level as Qualcomm. So I'm looking forward to more from them. Oops, I broke 7. Canina says, I was slightly tempted to try Huion, but I'm pretty loyal to Wacom because I've had good luck with them. Look, I always tell people, if you have success with one brand, stick with the brand. Changing brands is a big deal. It's so much disruption. Different drivers, you don't know what the pens are going to be like. It's just easier to stick. It's I've quoted this lyric on the streams many times, and I'm just going to quote it again. Don't go chasing waterfalls. Stick to the rivers and lakes that you're used to. I forgot which song that was. That's from the 90s, a 90s song. But yeah, stick to the rivers and lakes that you're used to. That's the way I feel about drawing tablet brands. Look, if you have the budget to spend on experimenting, great. But remember, you're going to have to deal with the driver issues. If it was just a money thing, it'd be one thing. But it's not just a money thing. It's the driver issues, it's the pens, it's the replacement costs, it's all sorts of little things, right? Canina says, I also have my Intuos Pro. I just wanted a screen tab in addition to it. I didn't want, that absolutely valid, not to mess with that. Haynem says 60% of the time it works every time. Hera says, I haven't had my PTK 670 for long, but I did use my PTH 660, 860 with KP19. Oh, interesting. I will try this experiment again, Hera. Maybe I can figure out why it didn't work quite as nice. Yeah, and if you can keep us posted, that'd be great. Hey, Pleasing, thanks for stopping by. Always nice to have you. Yeah, let me send a link to it. Again, it's for Windows, by the way. And it's just a UI that sits on top of Open Tablet Driver. You don't need to install Open Tablet Driver. It sort of embeds it. But give it a try. I consider it a beta, but I use it. I actually use it to draw with. I'm going to give the link to the GitHub. Just go to the releases at the bottom. On the right side, and you can download it. So yeah, stars and raindrops. Let me paste it in there. Open Tablet Artist. I meant to do a video about this, but I got delayed. It does have a pretty interface. I'm proud of that. It is designed to be pretty. Do you think there's any chance of actually Pen making their own Moving Pad Pro 14? People on Discord tell me, did we not find out that they are planning to do something like that? I could have sworn someone told me that they were actually doing something. But the Discord crew can remind me if that's correct or not. Okay, I see Haynem has replied. They're making their own Surface Pro Canvas Studio. No signs of another. Oh, okay. It was a Windows-based machine, not an Android. I think they're not going to. So it's a good question. Why is it limited to 14? And I think the answer is it is just a lot to deal with something that's 16 inches, right? As a standalone. I don't get me wrong. I would love to try it. For me, it would have honestly because Android has so many issues and limitations. I think, okay, this is my fantasy. I'm just making this on the fly. I'd like to see a Windows-based, super thin, so something like an iPad, I guess, but 16 inches with a Snapdragon chip, just for lower power and like greater performance. That's it. Will anyone ever build with, Wacom or Huion or XP Pen, X3 Pentec? Will someone build that? Don't know. But I think that I would love to see that. Now, on the same challenge, I don't recommend people getting pen computers like that because support, replacement costs or repair costs are basically crazy. So if Samsung made something like that, I would definitely. If Samsung made, something like that that could use the Pro Pen too, I would get that. Or at least I'd be willing to spend money on it. I just read your article and started Googling some tablets. I see correctly, most tablets seem to be using older technology, for example, Huion. The best way to understand if they're using older technology is look at the pen they come with. So lots of Huion tablets have, if you look at all the Huion tablets that are being sold on Amazon, there's a bunch of old tablets. Look for the ones that use the PW600 pen unfortunately, there's only one tablet that uses the PW550 pen, okay? For Huion, for pen tablet, that's the only thing. The rest are using PW517. However, pen tablets that use PW517, they work with the PW550 pen. Okay, so that's another consideration. Yes, it's more money. You have to go get an extra pen, but that is something to keep in mind. What I notice, so what's the quality difference? The difference is in the pen being more, having higher maximum pressure. I think there was a quality difference when you think about Huion and XP-Pen before 2021, maybe, and then afterwards. Those brands are getting more reliable every time. But I think you're starting to see after 2021 is when they're getting more predictable and reliable. But we can only really fairly say when we've had a decade. Okay, it hasn't been a decade since 2021. Borashira says, I've had good luck with Wacom too. Throughout my 13-year digital art journey, I've only tried the Bamboo Create and 13HD. But I've seen my brother try a bunch. Microsoft Surface. Oh, I hate the pen with the Microsoft Surface. With a passion. Koyo, I haven't talked about the tablet leaks. And the reason for this is, well, okay, I'm gonna, you'll know what I'm saying, Koyo, but maybe not everyone does. I don't want to okay. Let's just get it out in the open. I've said it many times. We don't have a spy. We don't have some insider information. What we have is documents get inadvertently published that people either don't know, that are just normal. Let me be more clear. At least in the United States, when you make an electronic device, you have to send a document to the FCC that says, here's our testing for electronic interference and all sorts of these other things. So that it doesn't, interfere with other devices and Bluetooth and wireless, whatever. And that submission of that document is public, okay? And that document doesn't tell you everything, it doesn't give you all the photos necessarily and all the information, but it gives you some clues about what's happening. We knew about the MoveInk 13 for 6 months before it was released. Okay, we discussed that on stream. That's because there's a place on the internet which has these FCC docs. It's all public. It's not a secret. Now what happened? Okay, so that's part one. And when those are released, we find out and we talk about them. Again, we have no spies. We have no one infiltrating Wacom or whatever. Now that you know that the FCC has this information, here's another thing that's happened. I'm not going to name any names. And this is why I haven't brought it up on the stream, Koyo. Somebody is planning on releasing 2 new tablets. I'm not going to tell you who. I'm not going to tell you what the tablets are. And I'll tell you why I'm not doing it in a second. But I think someone, maybe it was Q, pointed out, they asked the FCC to not make that document public for a while. Well, the document was inadvertently made public by the FCC. So here you go. Now we know somebody's releasing 2 new pen tablets. We expect in 2027 based on when they submitted. But because the availability of this document is a mistake, meaning the FCC has made it public when they asked the FCC not to publish it, I just feel it would be unfair for me to talk about it. I can talk about it, but I feel like it would be, let me put it this way. It is ethical for me to talk about something that is public, even if people don't normally encounter that. So the FCC docs are in that set. However, to be fair, if the FCC made a mistake and published something when the vendor said, do not publish it, that's a mistake. And I have chosen not to talk about it on stream because it's kind of like hitting somebody when they're down. You understand? It's unethical. It's kind of cheating. This is the way I feel about it. Okay, this is my personal. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't hit somebody. Well, I would hit lots of people when they're down. I wouldn't hit Wacom when they're down. Okay, I like them too much to take advantage of a mistake. Right? Let me give you just another example. Like for some reason, this came up in my feed or in Reddit or something. Imagine you're at a garage sale where someone's selling, just random junk they had in their house, and they found there was a comic book, okay, and you can just imagine it's some woman who's selling her late husband's comic book collection, right? She's like a grandmother, and like the grandfather's passed away last year. She found a bunch of ridiculous comics in this garage. She's just selling them. And she's like, oh, here's something for like $5, because she doesn't know what it is. And you get there and you notice, oh, actually, it's the first issue of something. It's really worth $10,000. Would you buy the comic? I would not. I would just tell her, this is worth $10,000. You should get it appraised by somebody, because that would be taking advantage of them, right? Even though they have no clue, they were willing to part with it for $5. So that's a similar thing. I wouldn't hurt somebody because the mistake was made that they had no control over. That's why I haven't talked about it on stream. Having said that, there are other tablets that we can talk on stream. If someone can link me to the FCC doc, I'm happy to talk about it. Does that make sense, Koyo? That is the way I ethically think about things. And I'm willing to change my mind, but that's my thinking. Let's see. World will be complete when we get a 19-inch standalone. That would be amazing. Now, look, I think not no one, but like it's a very specialty device. 19 inches is not. You have to think. When you get to 19 inches, it's like you got to think about transporting it. You have to think about being careful with it because this. You have to put it in a protective case. But don't get me wrong. I would love to see something like that. But I think it's a very specialty device. And in the end, he bought a used refrigerator. Okay. 16-inch tablet limited to Android would be kind of... Yeah, exactly. I think you'd want to use full Windows for something that size, honestly. We got a thumbs down. My first ever thumbs down. New niche Android tablets are unlikely because of memory shortage. I agree. It's a bad time to be releasing things. Borishiro says that's not speaking for Huiyan's newest stuff though. They seem to have made. They have. I mean, the PW600 pen's a great sign of that. They're getting better, not still perfected. Their anti-glare sparkle issues and sharpness issues. Harris says I'm very satisfied by Huiyan pen displays. Just annoyed I couldn't get a pen tab to go with it. Cami Luna has arrived. Everybody, Cami Luna is here. Again, one of my favorite people coming to stream. Always. And I love Cami Luna's art. I noticed Huion, actually, yeah, they have made no new pen tabs, Cami Luna. Yeah, so it's kind of just, I don't know why, because they have the tech already and they just haven't done it. It's just weird. It's not a RAM issue. They don't have any RAM in them. Not that I know of. Or maybe they do, I just don't think about it. But I don't know what the issue is. Okay, but we did have a genuine leak once. That's true. That's true. Maybe I'm being too hard. Maybe I'm being too picky about it. Yeah, Surface Pen is a disaster. And I'm just going to rant about the Surface Pen. Microsoft makes a cajillion dollars a year. I mean, cajillion. You know that because they spend so much on AI right now. They have, 150, 180,000 employees. They have massive everything. I worked for Microsoft for 28 years. Never on hardware, though. Why is the pen experience so bad? And the answer is they don't think it's bad. Because they think of pens as not artistic devices, not for express. I mean, they'll put that in the writing. They don't believe that. Their heart, I shouldn't say they don't believe it. Their heart is not there. For them, that's kind of a strange thing. They expect pens to be used for handwriting recognition and note-taking and digital signatures, maybe some whiteboarding. Okay, that's the upper end of drawing for Microsoft. Whiteboarding, okay, or a quick figure, like drawing a figure in PowerPoint, something. So if you told them, well, your pen doesn't draw strokes well when I'm carefully drawing something, they're like, internally, we're like, well, none of our customers are doing that. Our business, they're an enterprise company. Our customers don't do that. They'll tell you it's creative, but it's not a priority scenario for them. So they're focused on a very different set of things, which is a tragedy because we can all see the problems in the Surface Pen. Like it wasn't through FTC, it was through a search engine. I forgot which one was that, Hera. Koyo says, oh yeah, FCC. Yeah, it was an FCC mistake. 17-inch laptops are huge. Yeah, they get unwieldy, honestly. And I have two of them. They get unwieldy. They're not bad. They're just like, when you get switching between, 13 and 14 and 16 seems like trivial, but like they change how you use them. Tiny microscopic bits of RAM for hardware. There must be something in the firmware which is like RAM. This is a question I need to ask hardware people like Cube, who know much more about topics like this. Andre Bach says, is PW600 really just as good as Pro Pen 3? It's very close. It's very close. So in terms of maximum pressure, it is... okay, let's try it like this. Let's see if I can show it to you in a concrete way, okay? I think I have... give me a second. PW600, okay. And then ACP 500. Hang on a second. Okay. Okay. I think, pull this down here. Okay. So, here is the pressure response curve for all of the pens I actually have tested. Okay, mixed in PW600 and AC and Pro Pen 3, ACP 500. Okay, now what do you notice? They all basically are pretty consistent, even between Huion and XP Pen. And Wacom. Let us color these by the pen model. Okay. So the Huions are the blue and the Wacoms are the orange. So the Wacoms have really high maximum pressure, but when you get to 450, 400, that's actually in the excellent category already. So they're very good in terms of maximum pressure. unit to unit. All the blue ones are very, and all the orange ones are they're very similar, right? That's great. Now what about IAF? Okay, well, let's take a look. They all, in my testing, which may not be perfect, I admit to that, they fall between 3 gram force and 5.5. Okay, this is Wacom and Huion. The PW600 goes between, let's say, 3.75 or 3.8 to 5.6. Okay. Now, in my testing, which is controversial, which for a second, the Pro Pen 3 goes between 3 and 5. So you can see, from my perspective, they're very close. Now, why isn't the Pro Pen more like 1.5? I don't know, but my numbers pretty clearly. Maybe I'm just a bad measurer. But from my perspective, they're very close. Okay? In fact, the PW600 should be more like 2. That's what Huion says. And the Pro Pen 3 should be more like 1. But let's suppose they are right. You can see, whether or not that's the right number, you can see they are, in my measurements, very, very close, right? The median pressure for the PW600 is 4.9 gram force, and the medium IEF for the Pro Pen 3 is 3.6. So even if I'm reading higher than normal, they're very consistent. They're very close to each other. Does that make sense? Okay, Hera says, do they make 19-inch gaming laptops? I haven't heard of one. I have not heard of one. 19 inches is like a whole monitor. How are you going to be going about your day with all that in your backpack? I think it's possible. Like, you're going to need a slightly bigger backpack. This is a 19-inch pen display, a monitor right here. And it doesn't, actually, the bezels are small, so it actually feels the size. Actually, give me a second. I'm going to show, I'm going to prove a point. Give me 1 second. Okay, the point I'm trying to prove and show you is a 19-inch pen display is workable. We're gonna see how workable it is, okay? Because I have a theory, we're gonna test it live. Because I have a 19-inch monitor, which we'll take as a proxy for what a 19 pen display could look like. And I have a Huion Canvas 16 Gen 3 here, right? And we're gonna just see how physically big, like, is it reasonable to talk about such a thing, okay? Here we go. Here's the 16 Gen 3. Okay. Now you can tell the 16 Gen 3 has bezels, which it has to have wider bezels for the accuracy at the edges and corners. Okay, so that's kind of, but it has also buttons. So here's the 16 Gen 3. Here's a 19-inch pen display. Okay, and I'm just gonna put one on top of the other, and look at this. A 19-inch pen display, can you see it? Is just a little bit taller than the 16 Gen 3. So, if you could fit this Canvas 16 Gen 3 in a backpack and travel with it, at least conceptually, it is not an insane idea to imagine a pen display that had thinner bezels at 19 inches, is it? This could work, right? So I think a 19-inch, now again, they have to have larger bezels, but you get my idea. It's not that much of a stretch, especially if you lose the buttons, right? It would actually kind of work. Microsoft is not going to start caring for artists anytime soon if they put a Gen AI image button in MS Paint. Yeah, they're not. Look, I love Microsoft. I mean, let me just be honest. You know, I say it all the time. Microsoft gave me so much of my life, right? There's nothing I would love more than Microsoft to succeed. I really do. And if the biggest critics of Microsoft, trust me, are Microsoft employees. I still consider myself part of Microsoft. We are always criticizing the company. We want it to be better, right? And better has taken decades in some sense. I want Microsoft Windows, and I'm just being quite honest here. I want artists, creative types, but let's right now talk to people doing art with a drawing tablet, right? Us, in other words. I want us to love Windows. Nothing would make me happier than people saying, I've got to do my stuff on Windows. I've got to be on Windows because when I plug in a tablet, and this is the fantasy, right? This is the scenario I'd like to be true. I plug in the tablet and I didn't have to install anything and it just worked. And all my little things about mapping the things, all that was built into Windows. I didn't even have to install Wacom. I just had to install Wacom stuff to maybe make the buttons work on the tablet. That's it. It didn't like the core drawing thing worked completely out of the box. Okay? And I would like it if there was some magic button on the tablet or something where like, oh, make the tablet's color match my monitor. Just, I don't know, pure magic. How would that even work? I don't know. And I want it to be easy to understand how to make the colors work and fix them or change them. And I want it to be where all Microsoft applications where you can effectively draw something, just intuitively know how to use a pen and are smart about using the pen, right? And they have apps. I would like MS Paint. Let me just broaden this. I don't want to stuff every conceivable feature in MS Paint. I would like a kind of basic drawing app inside of Windows. Sure, it can be downloaded from the Microsoft Store, but it should let me draw, like actually draw something, right? I'm not saying it has to do everything Clip Studio Paint does. I am saying I'd like it should be there because I want a baseline level of capability in Microsoft for art. Is that so wrong? Right? I would like better SVG support, right? For sharing things. Because I want artists to say everything is easier on Windows. And I'm not hating on Mac here. I want them to be good too. But my point is, I really want, because I'm a Microsoft guy at heart. I want that to be true. But the focus right now is unfortunately on not that. It's on other stuff and AI and things. And AI has a part to play in art. But yeah, nothing would make me happier than having this be true. And by extension, for those of you who work in like video and audio, the same things happen there. Now, what it would take for video and audio, I don't know. That's not my specialty, but I'm about 2D art. Okay, that was my rant. That was my rant on Microsoft. Okay. I mean, they're making tablets crazy thin nowadays. My MatePad Pro is 13.2 inches. Oh, wow. 510 grams. Yeah, that's good. Because I think the MoveInk 13 is something like 420 grams or something. Maybe I'm mistaken, but it is very light as well. The leak was ArtPen 2. Yeah, you're right here. I forgot about that. What the leak was. Huion KP27 at your best. Oh, yeah, I remember that ad. Yeah. Walking around with the KP27. Yeah, that's a good point about the Tab S11. I have the Tab S11 Ultra also, and for as much power as you're getting, it's surprising it is that light. In fact, the only thing that makes it seem heavy is that it's, I don't like its cover, right? It just makes it bulky and heavy, and I'm like, can't we do a little bit better than that? I'm still waiting for a Wacom Moving Pad Pro Mini. What you're thinking? What 11 inches, Hera? PWC. Well, we can take a look at that, Hanem. We can take a look at that as well. It's easy in my world to take a look. I'll do that right now. That's why I built this Explorer tool. You know, you can just do all these comparisons live, and we don't need to speculate about my. It's hard to convey the data without this tool. Hang on a second. KP504E. Yeah. Let me flag it, and let's take a look at the comparisons. Okay, so it's flagged. Let's compare. IAF. So PW600, you see, right? Between 3.8 and 5.6 with a median 4.9. And then what do we see? ProPen 2 is, in my measurements, 3.1 to 4.1. So it's tighter, good, more consistent. But it's not, you know, I'm not getting like 1 or under 1. Again, it could be but like you can see, the PW600 is still overlapping this range a little bit, right? Like this is 3 point is the lowest, and the highest here is 4.1. So there's a little bit of overlap. And what about maximum pressure? Let's take a look. And the max, here we go. Yeah, this is actually a better way of looking at it. Here is the PW600, which is still in a really good place. It's in the A tier and some of S tier. The ProPen 2 is in the S tier. It is at like 700 and beyond. But you don't need that. Like if you're even hitting 500, you're really in a great place, right? Did that help, Hayden? Cami Luna says there's an Acer Predator 21-inch gaming laptop. Oh, wow. Wacom Moving Pad Mini 2032 for $1,000. No, Wacom 1 is much worse. It's not the same. Yeah, and that's why we have this thing, right? We can show it to you exactly. Let's go to flagged, unflag this, and let's flag ACP 500, and I'll flag CP. I'm gonna flag CP923. That's just the most recent one, and let's compare them. Okay, so let's take a look at IAF. Okay, so the ProPen 3 is here, 3 to 5. Okay, look at this. My measurements of the CP923, 8 to 9.6. So it's a huge difference. Huge difference. Okay, does that make sense? It really so. The Wacom 1 pen is just it's very different. It's very different. That's why I think people I don't like it when Wacom uses the Wacom 1 pen. Oh, and for maximum pressure, let's take a quick look. It is, take a look here. The maximum pressure, remember, S tier is where the ProPen 3 is. Look at where the Wacom 1 is. Some of them are in the A tier, but really they're hovering in the B tier, honestly. So they're not, some of them are actually C tier, not great at all, but it's very inconsistent in my measurements, And that's typical for these UDMR pens like the S Pen. Lumi Art says, I measured my Bamboo CTH670 with its LP170E. Turns out that's a max pressure 330, which is good. That's a B tier pen. That's not bad. But I turn it down to 160. Wow. You draw really light. I am very irritated when it gets below 200. That's unusual, Lumi Art. see, Hanem says IAF and max pressure. IAF essentially minimum detectable pressure, and so min max pressure levels are arbitrary. Yeah, pressure levels do not matter. Pressure levels do not matter. Yeah, they are very close. They're actually very close. The the K16 Gen 3 and the KP19. Okay, Kanina has a good question. I wonder what the limitations are preventing them from making large form factors of the Moving 13. I don't know if there are. I think I suspect, honestly, Kanina, it's a business decision. And let me just, here's my hypothesis. If they release, let's just say, a Moving 13, the first thing that'll do is get people to not buy the Cintiq 16 and maybe the Cintiq Pro 17. That's what will actually happen, right? Because because the Moving uses the Pro Pen 3, so excellent drawing experience. So you're stuck, right? If they make it a little bit bigger, then suddenly they're going to eat into their profitable tablets, right? That's why I'm not even totally sure what Wacom thinks about the Moving line. I don't know. Maybe the Moving 13 is the last of the Movings, because we haven't seen any, we haven't seen the 16, we haven't seen any enhancements. Maybe it's just a very specialized device from Wacom's sort of their worldview. Harris says, I think pressure handling is more important than Max Force, sometimes more important than IF. When you say pressure handling, maybe you could elaborate a little bit what you mean. Because there's different aspects. I'm curious if there's something specific. I posted some tests with Nocti's web app. You can see that PDF is a little wonky on the low end then. Okay, interesting. But remember, the pressure, basically my view is all pens are wonky at the low end. Use a pressure curve to help adjust for that, and some pressure smoothing. I consider here's what I honestly think. The Pro Pen 2 is still technically the best pen on the market. I truly believe that. The Art Pen 2 is this is a weird comment, but I have said this before. The Art Pen 2 is the honest, true successor, the true, spiritual successor to the Pro Pen 2. Art Pen 2, spiritual successor to the Pro Pen 2, here's why. Similar shape, same performance as the Pro Pen 3, and it's cheaper than the Pro Pen 3. It's only like $100. I was expecting it to be $200, by the way. So the only negative of the Art Pen 2 is it's only compatible with like 7 tablets. So if the Art Pen 2 was compatible with more tablets, I would right now say, yeah, it's the new standard. Better, I would say it's better than the Pro Pen 3 easily. Even though the Pro Pen 2 still technically beats it for IAF and max pressure. Gawa says, an innocent man's woes is what everyone hopes for. True hope, desire for the betterment of society is always answered. Let's see if that happens with Windows. Art Pen 2 is my favorite pen right now, Hera says. But I did pay extra to get it, so Look, I agree with you, Hera. I prefer using the Art Pen 2. There's no doubt. It took 40 years to get layers in MS Paint. Yeah. Don't forget, on the way to layers, they implemented Paint 3D, which has sort of interesting technical features, but very little uptake, right? Paint 3D, it's deprecated now. It's nowhere to be seen. Let's see. So then Huawei M Pencil Pro also has an IF 8 gram, but it wasn't the Wacom One pen had worse IF in the second version. Yeah, we can compare these things. Let's do that. Pen model, let's go to flagged. Unflag this, go to pen models, CP913. So CP913 is the first generation. So So it's called Wacom 1 pen, first generation, Wacom 1 standard pen, second generation. Let's compare them. IAF, so the second generation from 8 to 9.6 in my measurements. Wacom 1 CP913, interesting. It's a mixed bag here. I got a wider range. I got lower and higher. So 5.5 to 12.7. So a much bigger range. Okay, so the median is 9.399. So technically, so what this tells you is, roughly speaking, half of the CP913s have a lower IAF than the 923. So it's, you have to interpret this that way. What about max pressure? I can't remember, so let's take a look. 923, 200 to 300. 913, high, better, actually for B tier to A tier max pressure. Right, so in some sense, the 913 is actually a better pen. Right, overall. Yeah, I haven't, similar to you, Kenina, I haven't touched MS Paint in, I only do it to test something. I don't really use it ever for any reason. Surface 1 pen was a Wacom EMR pen. And I know because you could install drivers for it, the Wacom driver. But I don't know if it was a UD EMR or not, but it was a true EMR pen. I don't know if it was a great pen, but it was definitely better than the MPP pens we got later. So by pressure handling, I mean shoelacing and jumps in low pressure. Okay, so I think both of those can be addressed with a pressure curve. Shoelacing with increasing the IAF. I know people may not want to do that. And the jumps can be maybe addressed with some pressure curve stuff. It's plastic, but it's not slippery. It's not the same material as the Pro Pen 3 or 2. It's some other thing or other treatment of the plastic. I don't know how to say this, it's plastic, but it feels softer than the Pro Pen 2. And I like it. I actually really like the feeling. I have a longer question on the grippy part of these pens, but I'm not sure if try. Wacom CP913, my beloved. Yeah, it's a decent, it is definitely, I think overall I can conclude it is better than the 923. Overall, on average, it is better. IEF, 50% of them are better. Max pressure, all of them are better. So, right? I wonder how Wacom Huion actually measure IF. Well, I'm glad you asked because let's find. I'm going to show you. I won't play the video because I have played it before, but I'm going to make sure everyone knows. XP Pen. Yeah, there's a video. Whoops. And let's see if I can show it. I'll just show you the video without playing it, okay? So here's the video. It's called IAF testing of the X3 Smart Chip Pen. So happy XP Pen did this. This was a couple years ago. Watch the video. I just pasted a link in the chat, but basically they built an apparatus to do this, right? They built a little machine with a little digital scale and it presses the pen. You can see the results and you can actually see in this video, the IAF is actually shown up here if you look real carefully. So check the video out. It's actually remarkable. This is what I assume Huion and Wacom do. AP2 does have a very unique feel. I agree. Thanks for stopping by, Camille, and I really appreciate it. Okay. So, let me take a quick break, and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. And I did want to conclude to other things about the 22-inch displays, so let me get to that. Because I didn't talk about all of them. So I said the decent category is the XP Pen Artist 22 Plus, and I just want to talk about why it's decent. It's actually a decent choice. The pen is good. It's got good connectivity, nothing weird about it. It's just HD. So if you can deal with the HD resolution, it's a fine pen display. I'm very happy with the way it draws. Then we have the dated category. The issue here is you're going to find these for cheap, $350, $400, $1,000 in some cases. The Wacom Cintiq 22 has a great drawing experience, but the screen is washed out. The colors are kind of they're not as saturated as you'd normally expect, even for a cheap tablet. The drawing experience is still the best though. Use the Pro Pen too. The second thing is it's bulky, if that matters to you. Third is there's greater parallax. The glass is much thicker, and you'll notice it. Okay. If the Cintiq 22 cost $400, I might say, hey, okay, it's actually, if you're okay with the colors, get it. But it's $1,000. Maybe on eBay it's less. And at some point, Wacom will stop supporting it in the drivers. So I think you can get it, but you're not gonna get a great color experience. You're gonna get really a lot of parallax. And I think you'll just get it. I think the Cintiq 24, look at this, the Cintiq 24, we go back up here. It's 1,000, sorry, this should be, I think I put the prices wrong here. This should be like 1,000, I think 200 or something. This is a much better choice, the Cintiq 24, 2025. Then there's no point getting this Cintiq 22. Spend $200 more, you get a much better tablet, okay? Now what about the Huion Canvas 22 and 22 Plus? They're literally the same tablet. The 22 Plus has, I think, etched glass, and it has a wider color gamut. It's actually too saturated, right? It's actually disturbingly saturated. It's one of the first things I noticed about it. So they work fine. They're only HD. The pen is a little inconsistent unit to unit. Now again, if this was a $300 tablet, I'd be like, okay, look, it's a decent way to get it. The only other weirdness with it is, this is gonna sound so weird. It has 2 USB-C ports, but you can't use a single USB-C cable to get data and video. You have to use the 3-in-1 cable, right? You always have to use the 3-in-1 cable. Sorry, let me back it up. What I said was not quite correct. Let's suppose you have 2 USB-C cables. So one of them can be used for data and video. So the other, what about power? Well, there is no separate power cable. You have to use a 3-in-1 cable and just plug in the power. So it's really inelegant. If it was for $250 or $300 maybe, but like it's just dated. There are better choices. The better choice being the, where is it here? The XP Pen Artist 22 Plus doesn't have those same problems. And you can get it for almost the same price. Okay, that's why I tend to say, you don't want to get the data tablets. The RDS 220, I don't know. It has, it's better than HD resolution. It has 2560 by 1440, but it's not even available in the United States. And it uses this older PW517 pen. So I would stay away from the dated and the IDO notes. If you're a beginner, maybe if you can deal with the HD resolution, the decent is an okay choice. But really, honestly, look at the top picks are the winners here, right? You're getting fantastic, and I know $700 or $600 is, look, this is $560. Why would you get, if this is $550 to $440, for an extra $100, you get a much better resolution and a higher refresh rate. And a better pen, right? You can get a much better deal in the top picks than anything else. That's why I steer people in this direction. Let's see. Okay. I wanted to go over one more topic, which was multiple pressure curves. But I think I'm going to save that for another stream because we've gone on 3 hours already. We've had a pretty good run of topics and questions. Yeah, maybe tomorrow I'll do the multiple pressure topic because that was an interesting one. And I need to do a little bit of vibe coding to build up I was going to do it live on stream, but it can be a little bit boring to watch me vibe code. So I'll try to set up the tool to demonstrate this and then show you how it works. And again, I'll make a separate actual pre-recorded video for it. But again, I'd like to do these videos live so we actually have good feedback and questions can be answered. That'll improve the video quality later. Okay. With that, I think we are done for this stream on 22-inch pen displays. I hope it was useful. I will try to turn this into a quick video, because what's happening, what I'm seeing now, by the way, is it's August and it's hitting September. Lots of people are buying drawing tablets for back to school. So lots of questions on Reddit. You can see it. Lots of people are buying things. it's going to pick up starting now all the way to like November. November's the peak, just before Thanksgiving and Christmas. So I want to get some of this discussions about different kinds of drawing tablets out there, so that people have a good sense of, okay, here's what to avoid, here's what to buy. And if we're lucky, Huion and XP Pen, maybe Wacom will give us something new in the next couple of months. I don't think so, but maybe. We'll see. Okay. Lumiart says, I'll save my question for next time. Okay. Albert says, 3 hours already. What happened to the time? Yeah, because we had talked about everything. We talked about, Cinderella. We talked about Microsoft. We talked about flight controllers for art. Lots of fun stuff. Yeah, it always goes on. I notice my streams are almost always 3 hours. Somehow it just ends up that way. Anyway, everyone, thanks for your time. Had a great session. Great comments. We had 255 comments in stream. So really good session. And I will try to get the pressure curve thing tomorrow. Okay? Everyone have a great day, and I'll see you all soon. Bye.